What's going on? I am Nando.
And I'm DJ.
And this is Mostly Nitpicking, a podcast where every week we pick apart a piece of pop culture by looking exclusively at the details. Woohoo!
Whoa!
All right, I think that you're probably confused, unless you haven't listened to the podcast in like many years. In which case, glad to have you back. I don't know what it was that got you back on board, but thanks for coming. So as you know, there are usually three of us on the show. There is usually myself, Nando, DJ himself
Hello.
From before, and then Diggins, the third member of the crew, who is he's usually the third one. That's why there was the pause in the thing. Diggins was not able to make it today. Here's the thing. He's been the spy. He sent us a video or like a little recording where he growled at us and then got in the Mostly Nitpicking escape pod and very slowly left and waved. He's on a secret mission to steal all of our powers like Space Jam, which is essentially what this movie is. That's true. It's just taking this one off. So me and DJ are going to be talking about a movie that is wonderful.
It's a treat. It's a
real nice little thing. Before that though, DJ, how are you doing on this fine day? We're recording this on Friday, the 2nd of October.
So big weekend for myself. I'm getting married this weekend, so that's huge. Very excited.
It's going to be very fun.
I'll be off of the pod next week, and then I assume Nando will capture Diggins and then force him to be on the pod for next week's movie. Yeah,
my plan is, while he is running over the London rooftops, I'm going to shoot directionally, you know?
Yeah.
Hopefully I catch his confusingly long top hat in the process.
And the person next to Nando will be like, Nando, you're missing. And he'll be like, yeah, that's the point, son.
I know, son.
Get on my level.
Learn to shoot and be a piece of shit. Hit women with an open palm. Something Sean Connery does, apparently. Yeah. So I'll corral them, and I'll corral Diggins, and then DJ will... what's another thing that happens in this movie?
Well, I'll be gone, and everyone will think I was bad.
Yeah.
But then I'll come back, and people will be like, "Oh my god, you were good all along." And the actual bad guy was, let's be honest, pretty obvious that was the bad guy.
But also, like,
given previous events,
yeah, pretty confusing in general. But yeah, DJ will splash some champagne on his face or something, and then really struggle to get his coat off in time to get out of the room. But yeah, so in case all of these references have sailed over your head, which is very possible, this movie is quite old. Not like that old, but it's not like a recent movie like we usually do. Yeah, 17 years. And man, it parts aged well, parts didn't. Mostly when I'm talking about that, I mean like the CGI. I was surprised at how good some of the CGI was, and then obviously how bad some of it was.
Yeah, it was funny. So I was watching it, and then Michelle would like look over at some point. She'd be like, "Man, the CGI in this movie is really bad." And I'm like, "Well, it came out in 2003," and she said, "Oh, all right then."
Yeah, this was around the same time as like the Star Wars prequels. Yeah, not the first one, but like the second one. So, you know, they hadn't mastered it. But I do think I don't want to guess because I don't think this is how it works. But it really does feel like the budget disappears as the movie gets longer, like as if they filmed everything in time, and then like Dolomite, they just like ran out of money 2/3 of the way through the movie and then couldn't do it because like the invisible characters are invisible the whole time. Like in the beginning of the movie, the invisible characters look cool, and then in the end of the movie, they're just a guy, a non-invisible guy getting punched and going like, "Hey, invisible guy, stop punching me," like you'd see in any improv show. Some of the effects are never good, but we'll get to it. But we are talking about a movie affectionately called by some LXG, but is technically known as The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen
and Women.
and women technically, but really, I mean,
just gentlemen.
Mostly gentlemen, yeah. And listen, so this one came from, actually I have my phone out for this, a suggestion via Twitter that someone just happened to tweet me at exactly the right time for me to be like, yeah, you know what, that's fine. But also, we've heard this suggestion before quite a few times, so it's not the craziest. It's not like the most out of left field suggestion, but this was from Mason on Twitter like a week ago. Suggested we do League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, and because all of the movies are being delayed, and I think we need to take little breaks between fast movies.
Yeah, for sure.
We were like, yeah, that sounds good. And so that's what we're doing. If you have never seen it, it's on Amazon Prime currently, as of this recording. It's like Prime Video, so if you have that, you can go watch it. It's about a little under 2 hours long.
Yeah, it's pretty good length, actually.
Yeah.
For, like, a movie that's kind of going for an Avengers type thing.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll get into it, but one of the things I think the movie does well is that they don't make you just fucking sit there and be like, Dorian Gray was born in ancient Egypt in the year 1349.
Yeah.
Like, they're just like, this guy, his thing, we don't have time, let's get into it. And I'm like, I really appreciate that, because I feel like no movie is brave enough to do that today.
It's like, funny, yeah. Some of the exposition almost all of the exposition is given in, like, really heavy-handed one-liners, where, like, you know, Invisible Man will sneak up, and they'll be like, oh, a man is invisible. And then he'll be like, yeah, stole the formula, can't change back. Isn't that funny? And then, like, who's the other one that I loved? Oh, God. Who was... when Sean Connery gets his, like, exposition, and they're like, I heard you're invincible. And he's like, oh, witch doctor put a curse on me once. Maybe it worked, who knows? I'm very old. There's several invincible characters in this movie, and none of them have the same kind of invincibility, so who knows? And also none of it matters, because the way they win fights and kill the bad guys is usually just random kind of dumb luck, or like Sean Connery just shooting guys and mostly shooting.
It's a weird combo of dumb luck and also like, well, we have some very overpowered people we should be utilizing, and if we overutilize them, we can win. So
yeah. And it's almost like the movie knows it's an Avengers movie, so it feels like a video game. Everything feels like a video game, but it feels like a video game because it's like, oh no, there's a new enemy type we can't get. Can anyone on the team get them? I'll go and get them and do a thing for me. But like, you figure, hey, if she wasn't there, they just wouldn't have had snipers on the rooftops, and her contribution wouldn't have existed at all. So, like...
Right, exactly.
Kind of just padding to justify having some of these guys on the team. Not that I don't think the actual conceit of the movie of, like, this is why we brought all the characters together. I didn't hate that. But, yeah, there's some bits where you're just like, I guess they won because, you know, this guy did good driving, and, that's it, pretty much. But we got to talk about this movie, DJ.
Yeah.
League of Extraordinary Gentlemen came out in 2003. It was directed by Stephen Norrington. He directed the first Blade movie, and that's about it.
Oh.
Yep.
I want to be like it shows, but I don't know, I guess.
I mean, it does show, but also, like, yeah, not too, like, shows, like, it's pretty good for...
Yeah.
A third or fourth movie.
Yeah, like, I don't think this movie actually does anything egregious where I'm like, oh, I hate this movie. And, like, for a movie that came out in 2003, like, there aren't a lot of, like, cringy, like, oh my god, that's horrible. Like, there's one female character and she has a thing and they don't really ruin it a lot. And, like, I feel like we've done movies that have come out later in time and have just been way like, oh my god, I can't believe this came. This exists.
Yeah.
Like Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift, like, just to pull an example out of thin air. So I feel like this movie actually does age pretty well, which is probably, like, more than you could say for most Sean Connery movies.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, it's crazy because this was Sean Connery's last feature film.
Yeah.
And outside of, like, some small voices, it seems like he's done. But, like, yeah, And like, so this guy, whoever this director, this man whose name I've already forgotten, he was directing Sean Connery, notable weirdo, in his last feature film, Stephen Norrington, with very little like experience. Also dealing with a lot of CGI characters or bits of things where you kind of have to be like, and then this person will do this, and I hope that'll look good. Mixed with a bunch of actors who like are fine. Besides a couple, like, so I'm pretty impressed with what he got out of this. Also, this is based on a comic, like a graphic novel series by Alan Moore.
Yeah.
And it is, I don't want to say it's bad, but it's rough. In similar to how kind of, I wouldn't say this as successfully adapted something with lots of problems as The Boys did into something that's just like a pretty different thing, but I would argue is better. I've only read bits and pieces of it, but yeah, LXG not great. So yeah, this guy Stephen Norrington, not too bad.
Did you see that early in the movie? It might be like when they go to London for the first time, or Paris. Maybe not that early, but there's like a poster, and it's like tonight's performers, like Alan Moore, and like the name of the other guy who did
Oh no, I didn't
Gentlemen.
notice that.
Yeah, a little Easter egg there, which I'm like, all right, movie, good looking at you. Yeah.
That makes sense. Do you think the villain? We were supposed to think the villain, I assume, was Rasputin or something, but many people think Alan Moore is a wizard because he thinks he's a wizard. So who knows? Maybe he was the villain all along.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I like that theory.
Speaking of theories, DJ, what's the plot of this movie on IMDb?
Oh, man. Well, God,
you're playing against my judgment of like how good. I'm going to just give you a grade.
Well, couldn't you? Well, you've already looked at it.
I'm reading it right now.
I was going to say like we could both do it and then you could look, but I guess it's hard to judge. Okay, all right. Enough stalling from me. Okay. Okay. I have like bits in my head that I know I want to put in. Okay. A retired hunter is recruited to join a team of people with extraordinary abilities to help prevent the start of a world war. Off? That off?
You got team.
Really?
Yeah, you missed almost all the other ones. So wow. I will say, I think yours is fine. I think the title or the description goes a little more general. It's more about the concept. So it's in an alternate Victorian age world. A group of famous contemporary fantasy, science fiction, and adventure characters team up on a secret mission.
I think that's a bad summary, and not just because it's very different from mine, but kinda. But I find that to be... You don't need... It's not important that they're, like, fantasy characters. It doesn't add anything.
I guess it's just, like, a selling point for... Do you want to see this? It's got all your favorite contemporary fantasy, science fiction, and adventure characters.
It does. I mean, it does and it doesn't. Like,
oh, yeah.
Okay, this is what the Dark Universe wanted to be, considering that it has, like, a lot of the Dark Universe guys in it, right? So you got Jekyll and Hyde,
yep.
A version of Dracula, the Invisible Man, the Mummy's missing, but, you know,
yeah,
whatever.
I bet the Mummy would have showed up in a sequel. I bet he would have been the bad guy or something. That makes sense.
You got a lot of Dark Universe guys there.
Oh, yeah.
You throw in some Tom Sawyer. I had never even heard of...
Alan Quartermain.
Yeah, I've never... Is it big if you're British, I guess, maybe? Is that like...
I think it's just, like, pretty old. I don't think this character has any real staying power, but I think it's more or less what... This man, what Sean Connery's character is, he's just like a guy who does adventures and like shoots really well. He seems like an Indiana Jones type figure.
Yeah, like how did that pitch go? Did someone go to Sean Connery? It's like, Sean Connery, for your last feature film that you play in your illustrious career, you get to play the role of Alan Quartermain. And he's like, God damn it, that sounds amazing.
Yeah, I wonder.
Sign me up.
He could have. He's pretty old. Maybe he read up on those as a child, yeah.
I suppose.
Good for him. Or maybe they were like, we will give you a lot of money. And he was like, that sounds good, too. Because I lost out on the best deal in the history of movies.
What is that? I'm not familiar with this.
He was going to be... So, from what I understand, Sean Connery had a shot. And not had a shot, but was courted to be... excuse me. So... Whoever made it, honestly, I'm blanking. The studio wanted Sean Connery to play Gandalf in the Lord of the Rings movies.
Oh, get out, really?
And he was going to get some insane back-end deal. I want to say it's like 10%, but I don't think that's right. But like way too much money.
My God.
Yeah, and he didn't do it. I don't know if it's because he was like, I don't think this has enough Alan Quartermain in it, or if it was like, I'm too busy being old and, whatever. But yeah, he didn't take it.
That is funny. I will say, to the great Sean Connery's credit, he never sold out in a way where he did like a Daddy's Home or a Bad Grandpa. Like he never truly ruined his career by doing something incredibly terrible like so many after him would. Just to name those two examples, like with your fucking Robert De Niro and Mel Gibson, although that's a whole different thing. But my point is there are times didn't even Morgan Freeman do that Las Vegas movie or whatever.
Morgan Freeman can't stop making those movies.
So yeah, good for him for if this is the last thing, it's cool, man, cool.
Yeah, he's great. Oh, I didn't even realize that the villain's supposed to be the Phantom of the Opera. That didn't even click for me at all.
No, he's...
Well, but they're supposed to think he is. Oh my God. It's the first time I'm even... Yeah.
But there's literally a line where M goes, the villain wears a mask, and Alan Quartermain goes, how operatic.
I know, yeah. I just... because every line was something. Every line was either some, cool catchphrase or some nod to whatever the thing's supposed to be. Remember the bit where he gets out of the car and they're like, it was a good trip, right? And he's like, yes, almost as good as that Phileas Fogg who went around the world in 80 days. Who could have done such a thing? So I think I was just this is supposed to be Rasputin, but it's supposed to be the Phantom of the Opera. Wow, that was also supposed to be part of the Dark Universe. Never that never came to pass, but yeah, it didn't happen. But that was gonna be a thing. Oh, this movie's great. Okay.
So good, Nando's just I can't help but yawning at how good this movie is.
I was up last night late doing something. Who knows? Maybe I was on Twitter for 8 hours.
Yeah, I was gonna say let's give context. So we're recording this for the history books, right? This is Friday, October 2nd, around 3 p.m. That's when we're recording this. So a day in American history. We don't have to get into it, but of course, if I went to bed about a half hour, about 11:30. Had I been up till midnight, I would be in the same boat. Just been oh, this Twitter's so good. And The Boys, you obviously still watch The Boys.
Yeah. There was a lot of good stuff happening, and I just I couldn't focus. It's okay, because this movie's going to wake me up, and maybe I'll get more coffee. LXG, DJ, you've never read the comic, right?
No. I saw this movie, and I saw this movie in theaters with my dad, and I remember seeing this as a kid, being like, "What's going on? Oh, look, there's a lot of shooting and punching. Cool." Because I was I guess 13 when this movie came out, so not a child, but definitely not old enough to appreciate the great fantasy characters that this movie represented. Yes. I'm like, oh, cool, guys are doing things. Oh, that lady's a vampire. My 13-year-old brain didn't go wow, what a history.
I'm pretty sure that's all my brain got out of it, apparently. I didn't even know recognize Phantom of the Opera, but I was just oh, cool, shooting and punching, and catchphrases, and weird costumes, but fun costumes, and actors that make you go, oh yeah, 2003. And I also saw this in a movie theater. I think this movie, if anything, maps closest to an X-Men. It has it came out around the same time as them, and I feel like it's an attempt to make a different one of those. out of a comic book that's kind of like the X-Men. Which, like, I don't know. In the comics, is it the LXG? Do they call it that?
I don't know.
Obviously, it should be LEG. They should be leg. Because they're the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
I understand, but LXG's got some kick-ass to it. Like, that's where your punches.
And it's got necks. So I'm like, maybe they changed that for movie marketing because it would remind people of X-Men. But yeah, also like just the quality of the special effects, and a lot of that felt very X-Men. It's obviously it's very cheesy, but I would say most people who I've talked to about it, who I've mentioned were doing it, are like, oh yeah, I like that movie. And I would say it holds up surprisingly well. Like you were saying, there's a tiny bit, there's like, not like sexism per se, but there's your underwritten female character. But I think she's like not the worst one I've seen in a while. Like
I didn't feel bad because I felt she was as underwritten as like Jekyll and Hyde.
Yes,
I wasn't
exactly.
Like, man, they dropped the boat on this woman character. It was more like, wow, they dropped the boat on like 80. Dropped the ball on like 80% of these characters. Like it felt more of just like as a writer or as a writing team, we are not going to invest so much into, like, you know who Lady Dracula is. Mm. You know who Jekyll and Hyde is, we hope. And if you don't, they suck blood and they get big and punch. So, like, I didn't felt like the female character was done a disservice. I feel like a fair amount of characters were done a disservice.
Yeah, and I think that's right. And even, I would say, this movie's handling of race was fine. I would say even there were parts where I was like, uh-oh, but then it kind of was okay. The characters were kind of racist in some points, and sexist because the movie takes place in Victorian England, but usually they got over it. You know? There's one bit where they catch what's-his-name worshipping Shiva or something, and they're like, yeah, but that's what you do in those times. And then they're like, actually, he's cool, and we like him. We respect him.
I will say that, like, the context of that scene was done where it's like, we don't know who to trust. And it's like, here's this guy praying to his god who we think is weird. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, he could have just been in, like, the captain's room, been like, and this is when we will sabotage the so-and-so. Like, you people, get out of here. Like, you know.
There's a million ways they could have done that.
But it's not, like, it's a little cringy, but it's not like, oh, this movie's so sad. Like,
yeah.
I don't think any movie's perfect from those times. Like, speaking of Lord of the Rings, I bet there's stuff in there that would make me go, oh no, but like my brain would refuse to believe it because it's like formative movies of my childhood and I will love them no matter what.
Yeah.
I'm not saying this is that, but I'm saying that this movie kind of presents itself in a way where it's like, yeah, it's like fun action movie that you could watch in the year 2000 with being like, oh, good movie.
Yeah, and I think most of it holds up pretty well. And I think it's incredibly cheesy.
Yeah.
Some of the action's good, some of it sucks, and it's pretty funny, and it's bizarre. I would say, you know what? I don't know. I liked this movie. I thought it was fun. I remember seeing it in theaters when I was a kid and being like, it's pretty good. And I think I've watched it once or twice since then and had the same thought every time. Which is weird. Yeah, it is surprising to me because other movies from that time have aged very poorly. Not all, but some.
Yeah, but like, I mean, yeah.
Like
that
even
feels like inevitability, right?
Well, but the second Blade movie, right? A fun movie has some really terrible special effects. Some that stand out as like, wow, that's awful. And I would say this movie has one special effect in it that is bad. But maybe that's kind of the point. I can never quite tell what they're going for with that one.
Can I guess?
It's Scrappy-Doo.
Honestly, when M kind of like opens his chest and Scrappy-Doo's inside and he's like, puppy power! Yeah. I'm like, I understand you wanted to put all of the like old folklore characters in there to flesh out your movie verse, but this is a bridge too far.
He was supposed to be a stand-in for the Wolfman, DJ. I don't know if you missed that.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. Phantom of the Opera is actually the Wolfman. But yeah, the one bit that I have in my notes as Scrappy-Doo, that That bit I didn't love. Everything else I think was pretty good.
I thought that the Scrappy-Doo bits, Jekyll and Hyde, the Jekyll into Hyde, or I guess, and vice versa, Hyde into Jekyll, is very strange. And I thought that was kind of, hey, maybe we could do some cool makeup stuff and combine it with CGI stuff and show how would a big person turn into, like, a smaller person, and again, vice versa. Because, like, right with the Hulk, it's just like, my muscles are big now, whoa, and my head grew a little bit, but this was like, oh, this is horrifying, like, big head on small body for, a few seconds.
DJ, I'm not talking about Umbrella Academy Hulk. I'm talking about Scrappy-Doo Hulk from the end of the movie. That is the effect, I think, specifically that doesn't hold up. I think Umbrella Academy is fine. I kind of like it.
Oh, I see. My mistake, good sir. Okay. In that case, yeah, what the fuck?
That part was weird. But otherwise I thought it was pretty good. I thought most of the design of the movie was fun, the Victorianiness of it.
I understand that it's an alternate Victorian era where technology doesn't make sense, but I took some notes and, like, I get that there are leaps in technology, like, oh, it's 1899, but we have tanks and cars. And then there's some stuff where it's like, well, how you doing that one?
Yeah.
How you doing it? Show your math.
I think I know which thing you're thinking of.
Yeah.
And, there's a lot of it. There's a lot of stuff not late in the game, but yeah, the more you get into it, the weirder it gets. But, yeah, I don't mind. I like this movie. I think everybody in it is fine, except for... No, I think they're all fine. I think the ones that aren't fine have a certain charm to their not fineness. But I think more or less everyone shows up. I think they all showed up on time, did the impression their character was supposed to be doing or whatever, and it pretty much worked. Did you have a favorite character, DJ?
It's weird. Like, I really like the Invisible Man when he was on screen, just because I like that idea of, like, I always loved the character who is in the League, who he has a power. But, like, as a person, he's just kind of, like, shitty.
Mm-hmm.
He was just a criminal and, like, a petty thief, and maybe he was, like, good at that, and we have him here because he's invisible, but, like, he's not a gentleman by any means. He's,
Oh, yeah.
just kind of a, like, average Joe. Like, he talks salty, and he pinches bums, which, yeah, that was another, like, little bit of a cringy one. But, my baser instincts were like, ha! I like this guy.
I mean, he has his moments where he's calling everybody out on their bullshit, which is always fun.
Yeah.
Whenever a character does that, I immediately like them. He kind of has a similar moment to, like, I don't know, Iron Man in the first Avengers movie, where he just comes in and is like, that man's playing Galaga, Nick Fury has one eye. Ha ha ha.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah. So I agree. I think that my favorite character in this movie is definitely Dorian Gray. Because I think that actor is doing the best at the cheese bits. He has some really choice lines. Pretty much every line his character says is wonderful. And I also thought his effect was one that I was like, oh, yeah, that's pretty good. That more or less, I could see that in a movie today, and I'd be like, yeah, it looks pretty good.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I think, I don't know. Let's go through this one. So, DJ, the movie starts with a character who may or may not be the Phantom of the Opera. And he is doing a movie called the Captain America, the First Avenger intro. But he does it first, so he gets credit.
Yeah, right.
But it's the same thing. He busts into
Marvel
a place
some notes.
With a tank, and he's like, this isn't the real treasure. This is the real treasure. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I guess it sets the tone for, because they're very deliberate where it's, I don't know if they say England 1899 or just 1899 followed by whatever, but, they do a good job where, like, this is how the world is, and then there's a tank.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, I think that's very efficient world setting. Like, okay, it's this year, but there's tanks. Cool. And the tank is like, everyone's not like, that's a tank. They're like, what the fuck is that? So
I mean, they do their best. All the bobbies beat it with their clubs.
Bro.
What a start.
Well, I have a note here. One guy, he does the fucking... I think this movie's in Austin. I think it's in Austin Powers, but like...
Oh, yeah!
The guy stands in front of the tank with his hand up like, you must stop! You must stop! You must stop! It just gets run over by this fucking tank, which that happens in Austin Powers, right? I think
absolutely, with the steamroller guy.
Yeah. So, like, that fucking scene happens, which is just
That
great.
is so funny. Yeah. And it's like, I mean, it's so silly. And the Bobbies are so silly. And they all bang on the thing. It just drives into a bank. Has a little thingy that comes out of the tank just to like open the safe. It opens the safe, and then Rasputin comes out, but he's not Rasputin. He's been on the opera. Red Skull, and he comes in. He's like, kill all these guys. Also, these guys have guns, but guns are things, right? People, I mean, like other characters have guns. Are their guns better?
They're automatic, right? So that makes them better.
I mean, they're immeasurably worse because they miss everybody. But
I guess, you trade speed for accuracy, I suppose.
I think, and I that's part of why I didn't mind it, because it only happens once where I'm like, okay, you guys, I think you could still probably hit that thing. But every other time, I'm like, oh, these guys don't know the lessons of Alan Quatermain they got from his time in Africa. But yeah, he So what is what's his name steal? The Phantom steal
something with the Vatican. Oh God, plans something plans something
yeah.
something. No, not Vatican, Venice.
Yeah, blueprints or
Venice.
something like that.
Yeah.
And then he goes and steals more stuff, and then it's like, this guy's the worst. And we get newsreels, or not newsreels, newspapers, spinning newspapers that are like, Phantom strikes again, war on the rise, which is another great way to exposit.
The way that the Phantom does his thing is like, oh, the Germans attacked Britain, and Germany's like, no, we didn't, and it's like, will there be war?
Yeah.
So.
And you're kind of like, I feel like the Phantom's a different thing. I feel like if I were a world leader, I'd be like, I get that we really all want to do war anyway, but we should probably hold off until we figure out what the fuck this guy is. Because he seems like he's kind of working... Like, you guys say you don't... He's not your guy, I assume. And we also don't. So maybe he's just some weirdo. Which maybe he is. Or maybe he's not.
Or maybe this is... I was going to say, maybe it's like a great premise or excuse to start war.
Yeah.
They don't actually care about Mr. Phantom.
I mean,
I want to do war.
World War I will eventually be started by some random bullshit. And then that is used kind of as an excuse to start a war. So, yeah, might as well. I mean, not really an excuse. But, yeah, it's not World War II. Where was I? What's on this list here? Captain America. Oh! So then our characters are like, he's going to do a war. So what do you do when there's a guy trying to do a war and you're the English whatever? I don't know. Whatever this
the crown, I
is.
believe that the person is sent by Her Royal Majesty's something.
Yep.
Well, what you do is you go to Kenya and you get an old man to help you.
Yep.
A former British officer?
Something like that.
Something, yeah.
Not retired big game hunter, I guess.
Or he's just hiding. I don't know. This is something I didn't understand. So it's like it's Kenya.
Yep.
And there's a lot of British people here because colonization. Got it. Is it just safari hunting? Like, do these guys live here, or is this like a vacation for most people who are in this like very fancy home in like the middle of Africa? Like,
I think they live there.
Okay. So okay.
I'm not positive. I want to say at one point someone's like, "Why would anyone live in Africa?" or something. I think we get that information. Maybe not immediately.
I get that Quatermain's hiding out there, like probably living, but like everyone else, they kind of live here and they just hunt all the time.
Yeah, and hunt and drink and mostly sit around. I think that's like, I mean, in the 1890s, what else are you gonna do? Hoop and stick.
Great point.
You know, checkers, and he got both of those there probably, and also lions, and also he did adventures there anyway in the past, I assume. So like he's probably just like, this is where all of my friends are, because he says that at one point. He has a line that's like, "I lost lots of friends doing fighting, black and white, in this scene." So I guess he does he does primarily work on the African continent, or at least enough that it's like a thing. I don't know. But they have this really awful thing I hate. Not hate, I love it. It's weird. Where the guy goes to talk to this man, and they're like, I need to talk to Alan Quatermain right now. Yeah. And they go to this old guy who we know isn't Sean Connery, but he doesn't know it's not Sean Connery because he hasn't seen the poster. So he's like, "Are you Alan Quatermain?" And the guy's like, "I don't know, maybe." And now I watched this scene a couple of times. In it, I can't be positive. It seems like Sean Connery, who is sitting with his back to this man, but you can still kind of see, is mouthing the words this guy says.
Yes.
What is that?
I don't know. Like, is he saying like, "Oh, he's got the script right," or something? I also, what's not great on this this British guy, the recruiter. I don't remember his name. I'm just gonna call him the recruiter.
So his name is, hold on, I do have this one up, and I like his
Norrington.
name. Yes, Norrington.
The most common of British names.
Something like that.
While you find his name, Norrington, he goes to the bar and he says, "Is Alan Quatermain here?" And the guy at the bar goes, "He's in the back over there." Now, Norrington just walks up to this old guy, right, who's not Sean Connery, not on the poster, but like, it's not like Sean Connery, like Alan Quatermain, comes out from behind a pillar and goes, "I'm Alan Quatermain, this is my body double." Like, he's just sitting there with his back turned in the chair. If you're Norrington and you know that this guy's reclusive, wouldn't you go to the back guy in the reading the paper who doesn't seem like he's taking visitors? Wouldn't you be like, "Excuse me, are you Alan Quatermain? You seem to be hiding. You're reading a newspaper, and you look more like an Alan Quatermain. This guy, I don't think I would have been sent to get this fella right here."
Or you would be like, "Hey, real quick, what does this man I'm supposed to find look like? Just in case I don't know if I got the real one. Is he an old guy? Does he have mutton chops? Is it James Bond type of man, I guess? I don't even know how I would describe Sean Connery. Also, this guy's name is Sanderson Reed. The man that's sent to find whatever his name is. But yeah, he's like, they do this mouthing thing that makes me go like, yeah, I guess this was a bit that they planned, because this isn't like a projection or some magic guy. It's just some other guy at the bar, like who seems to be a friend of his, who is murdered immediately.
Unfortunately.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, all we learn is he's just there to tell the stories of Alan Quatermain.
Yeah.
Which, like, I guess that's easier than not having him and Alan Quatermain being like, "Fuck off, I don't want to tell you anything." I guess you just hire a person to tell the stories.
But why don't you tell the story? You're whispering it to yourself anyway. I guess it's like in case someone comes and tries to murder Alan Quatermain. This guy just seems like a murder double, which, like, he nailed it. 100%
he did
success.
His job great.
Yeah. Because then he is immediately murdered by some randos in body armor that makes them look like little turtles.
That in Africa would have been horrible, and I feel like they would have died. Like, I'm not convinced they would have been able to do that.
And it was their giant turtle things under a trench coat, because all the bad guys wore trench coats. Everybody wore trench coats, but they even wore them in Africa. And like big giant hats. I don't know, man. I don't want to tell them how to do their job, and they don't win. They all get either bodied by Alan Quatermain. It's a pretty funny ways, or one of them does the cyanide capsule. But like, so I don't know. Maybe they were in a tip-top shape, because this is the only part where, in my viewing of this, a character ran away from a hail of bullets, and I was like, woof, that was a little much. because Alan Quartermain is like surprised by these people, and he's like 5 feet from them, and they just unload bullets, and he doesn't duck to the floor. He just puts his hands over his head and kind of crouches and runs to behind something.
Yeah, he gets behind cover, but yeah, he would have been Swiss cheese.
Yeah,
like,
I don't think this is an aiming problem. I think their guns don't work. But
yeah, because there's like things in like the Matrix where like, you know, like where regular Neo is just like taking bullets, and you're like, come on, he doesn't have the dodge power yet. Why?
Yeah,
how
exactly.
Come on. I mean, I guess you could chalk it up to maybe these were the prototype automatic rifles that like, and it's like actually the bullets only go 2 feet and
but they,
to the ceiling, straight up in the air.
I'm a little confused about this, and I guess we'll get to some spoilers real quick, because to understand a lot of what happens in the movie, you kind of have to know Alan Quartermain is not supposed to be killed in this moment.
Correct.
But it doesn't seem like the villains knew that.
You mean like the villains
the
knew that Quartermain
man
was alive?
They didn't know. Like, no. So when the guy, so Sanderson Reed shows up, and he says like, "I'm here to get you, Alan Quartermain, the best man that ever lived." And then at that same time, the Turtle Men come up, and they take automatic weapons and just, well, one of them takes like a pistol, I think, and just blows this first fake Quartermain away. And then they take out their automatic weapons and shoot everything else in the room but Quartermain. But it seems like by accident. But like, they're all sent by the same guy.
Yes, that is correct.
And that guy wants Quartermain alive.
Wait, does he?
Yeah, he needs him to catch what's his name. That's the whole reason he's part of it.
That's a great point.
Like, this whole plan is one
of
those, like, this only works if everything goes the way it does. But if you think about it for a second, it's like, those guys shouldn't have had real bullets or something. I don't know. Or they should have had swords, and their job should have been to miss. But I guess what's his name just knew Alan Quartermain was unkillable Superman, but I don't know if he is.
But why put this together at all then? Like, why even make the attempt? Because to give the pretense for Alan Quartermain to join?
Well, Alan Quartermain has to be like, there is war. World war is coming, and it will reach Africa. But even if, I feel like you could say that and then blow up the house. But, I guess then you'd be like, wait, did you bring the bomb? And Sanderson would be like, no. But still, like, this shootout, it just makes no sense in context. As far as these guys know, they executed the real Alan Quartermain.
Right? Yes, exactly.
And even Sanderson Reed doesn't know that's not the real Alan Quartermain. So what the fuck was this plan? But anyway, it gets worse as we go.
It's true.
So then he joins, and he says, "Phileas Fogg around the world in 80 days." And then he goes to the boardroom, and this is where we meet a couple of characters. Now, did you get a look at the old ones of these? The old LXGs?
No, I did not. I should have, but I did not.
Because there's a bit where there's like pictures of old LXGs, and I don't know who they are. I couldn't quite tell, but I feel like they have to be like Little Red Riding Hood or something. I don't know who is left besides Dracula.
Probably like King Arthur. Like,
oh yeah, was he in the LXG? One? He's pulling double duty, being the King of England and a member of the LXG.
Right?
Maybe. I mean, also it seems like Mina is not the first woman in the LXG. It seems like there's lots of them. Like, not like there's lots of them, but it doesn't. I mean, Alan Quartermain's a real old fashioned rough and tumble customer who doesn't want no women on his trip. But
they only cause trouble. Women only cause trouble.
Yeah. So like,
not great.
I mean, hey, it's like what his character would say.
Yeah, I get
it's fine. Like, he gets over it. You know, I'm okay with characters in the beginning of movies having character flaws. Like,
sure. Yeah.
Okay, I figured it out. Okay. Wait, never mind, I didn't. I thought I did. I didn't. I thought I saw... I was almost at a list, and I thought that was the list of old LXGs. But anyway, so this is some sort of, like, I don't know, like, secret... Pretty much Avengers. all organized by a man named M.
Yep.
What's his deal?
He, again, seems to work for the British Crown, and he needs to assemble this extraordinary league of extraordinary people to prevent world war.
Yes. And he's also, like, some guy. Like, he is the first character we've been introduced to in the movie. Well, I guess that, not really, but, like, one of the first ones that is not a famous literary character. If anything, he's supposed to be like a James Bond character.
I mean, M is the guy who... no, that's Q. What am I doing? M is the person who gives the missions, right?
Right, yeah.
Dame Judi Dench, that's M.
But yeah, like, it's like, so he already doesn't fit in very well with this whole team.
Yeah.
But you're like, oh, maybe he enjoys James Bond. And maybe it's just a cute little callback to, like, what's his name? Sean Connery being James Bond. I don't know. I'll let it be. Because then we're introduced to the rest of the LXG.
Partially. We got, like, 4 out of 6, I think, or...
Even less. I want to say, like, 2. I mean, 3 counting Alan.
We have Alan Quartermain. We have the Invisible Man.
Yep.
We have... The Dracula lady,
Mina Harkin. Yep,
Mina Harkin, and
I think they're the only 3 because they have to find the other 3 or 4. Oh no, Nemo.
Oh, and Nemo, duh.
Yeah.
And Captain Nemo.
Captain Nemo.
Boy, do they extend the limits of like what I don't think Captain Nemo had that. I could be wrong, but
I think he was like kind of a white guy in the books.
Well, I don't even mean that, but, like, I mean, we'll get into it, but does he have a 2-mile-long submarine that, like, is impossible?
Well,
does he?
He has the Nautilus. I mean, he does have, like, a submarine, right?
But that's... Maybe I'm just ignorant, and if Diggins were here, he would correct the shit out of me.
I assume whatever submarine you had in the olden days wasn't very good.
I mean, it is impossible.
Yeah.
Like in terms of like stuff that happens later, but sure, whatever. But we get Captain Nemo.
I mean, he would have some submarine. I don't know. Maybe
yes.
I always assumed he was a white guy, but maybe he's not. Either way, this Captain Nemo is also Captain Ahab because he has a first mate that is Ishmael.
Yeah, Ishmael.
He says, "Call me Ishmael." Ha 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 ha.
Get it?
Captain Nemo is also a pirate. He's like not a good guy. None of them are really good guys. That's the other thing that I think is kind of fun about them. They're all like some sort of anti-hero. He's a little like kind of less clearly whatever, but what's his name? Quartermain's like, I heard you were a pirate. Fuck you. And he's like, well, not really, but maybe later we'll talk about it, and I will be. Let's see. Invisible Man. Just walking around. Invisible, sitting there. Like this, I think it's funny because everybody is the most dramatic version of they could possibly be. Where, like, it's not like Skinner just walks in the room like everyone else. He's already there, but M doesn't mention it. Just so he can have that little fun surprise.
Yeah. It's like, I got an invisible man. Ha ha ha.
Yeah. And what's his deal?
He's invisible and naked. He swapped, was it a potion? An elixir?
Yeah, I think he tried to steal the original Invisible Man's elixir and then drank it because he's like like you were saying, like a cat, not a cat burglar, but some sort of like petty criminal, who can be expected to want to be invisible, but it turns out you can't turn back.
Yep. But the British government said that they would give him the antidote. Boy, is he going to be disappointed.
Yeah, I mean, like, I feel like you'd be like, oh, really? Where is it then? And they'd be like, somewhere you'll never know. And he'd be like, well, tell me. And maybe they'd tell him, and he'd be like, oh, I'm just going to go get it. I'm the Invisible Man. I'll figure it out.
And it's like, how'd you get it? Are you Invisible Manning? I guess we learned later that Invisible Manning's easy.
Yes.
Not that big a deal.
No one is curious about whether an Invisible Man may or may not be around. And I think he is also frequently incurious about Invisible Manning. Like, he the fact that this movie has both an invisible man and a spy, and the movie tries to trick us for, like, you know, excuse me, a very unconvincing 30 seconds that he is the spy, but still, like, I don't see a world. Not I don't see a world, I guess, because this guy's kind of an idiot, but I feel like some of the stuff that's going on behind the scenes, especially if he's sneaking around, may become evident to him.
Yes.
But it doesn't matter, I guess. He drinks water or, like, scotch or something, and it goes down his tummy?
Yeah, so his insides are also... That doesn't make sense.
No, right?
Yeah.
Where's all the poop?
Wouldn't you... Where's all the poop? Where's all the blood? Like, you'd see the blood, right? If that were the case.
Well, right? I guess maybe you could say blood is like a part of him. Okay, but, like,
sure.
If he drinks liquid and then it goes into his tummy, you would see it just hanging around for a little bit, kind of.
Yeah.
And then food, you would have to see it digesting and then turn into poop and go through all his intestines. But I guess maybe he just doesn't eat because he's, you know...
Maybe that's part of Invisible Manning.
Yeah, maybe
we don't know how
hungry.
skinny he is. I guess we could get an idea from his face, which we see a lot. He doesn't, you know, he's so beautiful. He doesn't want to be Invisible Manning all the time.
And listen, out of all of the effects in the movie, this is the best one. The Invisible
100%.
Man face thing. I remember seeing it when I was like, whatever age, when I was 13, I guess, when this movie came out, and I was like, this is awesome. And I think still it's pretty good. I think we've always been pretty good at Invisible Man effects. Because even that movie Hollow Man, which came out roughly the same time, has pretty solid effects. But yeah, there's like pretty impressive Invisible Manning. But also it was like kind of art not artsy, but he had like some sort of chalk or whatever that he would paint on himself so that you could see his face in like a little case. So that was handy.
Yeah, it was like white makeup that he kind of had, which, you know, that's cool.
Mm-hmm. We are going to get back into the classic, mostly nitpicking debate, the 1.5 million ways to stop an Invisible Man, because no one figures out any of them in this movie, even though he is an Invisible Man, and they know he is an Invisible Man, and even like Alan Quartermain, World's Greatest Hunter. And secret villain, later to be revealed, Dorian Gray, both get tricked by him in a way that I think would be impossible if you even tried to check. Like, it's really bizarre how unprepared everyone is for the Invisible Man they already know exists.
So you and I have had a debate, and this is the great mostly nitpicking debate, where you are convinced that presented an Invisible Man scenario,
yes,
you would have no problem dealing with the Invisible Man, and I call bullshit.
Absolutely.
No.
I would destroy an Invisible Man.
Explain yourself for listeners who have not heard this before.
So they made a movie earlier this year, one of the only movies that I saw in theaters this year, right up there with Sonic and something else in January, called Invisible Man. And it was like a, you know, modern take, I guess. Not really take on the original story, but what if an Invisible Man in today? And the character, I can't remember her name, played by Elizabeth Moss, who spends the movie dealing with the Invisible Man, at some points in the movie comes up with plans to stop the Invisible Man. And sometimes they work, but other times they don't. And when they don't, I'm like, man, I feel like if you put a little thought into it, it's very easy to find an Invisible Man. If you like her in the beginning of the movie are not convinced there is one, and you're like, there might be an Invisible Man, but I don't want to look like a fool. I get that. But later, when
she knows there's an Invisible Man,
100% an Invisible Man in the house or room with you, and you're trying to find him, mostly they fail. Like, there's a bit where she, like, spreads coffee grounds around the room or something. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's good. But, like, they never go as far. I think an Invisible Man scenario, if I knew there was an Invisible Man, and my goal was to, like, beat him up or kill him or whatever, so he was trying to kill me, but he didn't have, like, a weapon on him. Obviously, he wouldn't because it would be visible, and that would kind of give him away. Like, I'm sure I would have trouble fighting an average man in general, but just the part where you beat up the Invisible Man, I feel like his invisible advantage would go away pretty quickly. But, like, I think this movie, Invisible Man, what's the other one with an invisible guy besides Hollow Man? There's another one that I was just thinking, like The Boys. I think The Boys does it pretty right, where it's like,
oh, sure,
it's pretty easy to get an Invisible Man if you kind of know where he is. You just spray him with a fire extinguisher, and there you go. But anyway, yeah, characters will make insane decisions around an Invisible Man. Okay, what else we got? I have here... Oh, okay. So then they go recruiting. So they still have a couple members of the team to recruit.
Dorian Gray and Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Oh, yeah. We didn't really talk about Mina. She's a vampire. It's not clear yet. She's basically a chemist, as far as we know.
Yeah. We don't really know why she's on the team yet, but she's very vague. Like, I have talents you couldn't possibly imagine. I don't know if that's a line, but
something
it might
like
as
that,
well
yeah.
be. Yeah.
And she's like a sexy woman, so like all the guys want to hit on her, except for Sean Connery, who hates her.
Yeah,
because
like,
he's an old-fashioned guy who hits his wife. In real life, apparently. Just,
Open hand.
Open hand, it doesn't count. That's what Barbara Walters not found out. She didn't get it. But, like, he told her in an interview. If anybody wants to watch it, it's bizarre. But, what happens with Dorian Gray?
Well, so they go to his house or whatever.
Yep.
Like, hello. And there's an ambush.
Well, even before that, what happens?
He
refuses their aunt.
Oh, yeah. He's like, no, fuck you.
Which, like, no. You're the spy. You should be on the mission from the beginning. What was this for?
I guess if it's like you seem reluctant, but then you come on, you're like, oh, I guess I'll do it. Why would that person be the spy? I guess.
I mean,
like,
I mean, I think if anybody, but when they do eventually figure out a spy, I think it's funny. I think this movie is like people playing like Among Us or like one of those games with a hidden identity game where like someone is like pretty sure it's Skinner. And then everyone's like, yeah, I think it is. And I feel like that guy that says it the first time, it's like, I did not think that was going to work that well. They all decided it was him. Because, like, all he has to suggest is, like, oh, I think Skinner's the bad guy. And everyone just immediately completely believes that. And now Skinner doesn't help his case very much, but also no one's interested in examining the possibility that it's not Skinner. But, so, yeah, he's old, but he's immortal. He was a teacher at a school when Quartermain was just a young boy.
Yeah, there's this little setup where he says, him and I attended university for a lecture at the same time. And then Mina goes, let me guess, Quartermain, the old professor giving lecture, Dorian, the young boy, eager to learn. Actually, it was the other way around. I was the young boy. And Mr. Gray was giving the lecture.
Yeah, like...
And it's like, whoa!
Which, like, makes no sense for a million reasons. She knows he's immortal, and also, who would say that? Like, I saw him at a university, and she's basically like, let me guess, you were the older person than him, doing the thing that it would seem like you said that you just said? No way, impossible. But, like, again, this movie is nothing but catchphrases and hammy dialogue. So it's all set up for stuff like that.
Quips and, that's all it's for.
Because there's also the bit where they walk by the portrait not being there, and it's like, no portrait. Mm-hmm. And he's like, you're very astute, Mr. Quartermain. Which, the portrait's not there, why?
Because he can't look at it.
But, like, why is there a space for it?
Maybe it was there?
I don't think it could have been there. Did he cover it up with, like, a cloth, but leave it in his, like, gallery?
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I guess it's not clear.
I feel like it usually, I believe in the story, it lives in the attic, covered completely. And we'll find out later, maybe it's stolen, but still, I don't think they stole it off the wall.
Maybe that picture was just a totally different picture.
Yeah, right?
Like, very astute, Mr. Quartermain. There is a spot where a picture was. It was of my Nan. I hate her.
Yeah.
I removed it.
It had something happened. There's a drip, and it dripped on it, and now the paper, it's broken. So it's getting fixed. That is a very normal thing. And honestly, I think it's a little weird that you brought it up. What, do you think I'm poor or something? I can't have my portraits fixed. But anyway... the best thing, not the best thing about it, but so they go to his house, and he's like, I don't want to join your little thing. And he has like a little cane, and he's kind of like, I don't even know how to describe this character, except for he's pretty much like what a Johnny Depp type what I'd expect from a Johnny Depp type on a call sheet. He's played by an actor named, oh god, we haven't done actors because none of them are important. But he's from stuff. Some people would recognize this actor. I think this
not me.
Oh no, yeah,
like,
Stuart Townsend. So he is from Queen of the Damned. A lot of these actors are from other vampire stuff, which is fun. For instance, M plays Dracula in the Van Helsing movie. Also, Shane West or whatever his name is in a vampire show, I think, or something. So. That's their whole thing. But yeah, so Stuart Townsend, and he's like all cheeky, and he's like, I don't want to join. I don't think it's cool, even though whatever. But then it turns out his house has been invaded by like guys with guns.
Yes.
Now, for a second time, guys with guns that don't seem to not be trying to shoot the heroes.
Yes.
Only, like one of the heroes, like I guess I still don't know if the Quartermain thing, if he actually had like a curse or whatever, or not a curse. Well, I don't, because the end of the movie like makes it a little clearer. But at this point in the story, I don't get it. I really don't understand.
Quartermain's invincibility? Like
No, just like the plan. What if they shot the Invisible Man? They were shooting at the Invisible Man. He can't take a bullet, then he dies. I guess then they get him. They get his body. Which is what they wanted
the
anyway.
Cells they want, yeah.
But like, what if they miss the vampire lady and then she just leaves? Like, she's like, this is dumb. I'm a vampire. This isn't really important to me anyway. Goodbye.
Yeah. I wish we got more into why the various members of the League were there, because it's very unclear.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
What were you saying?
I don't know why Mina's there.
Yeah.
The Invisible Man's very explicit. Quartermain's like, whatever. I don't know why Nemo's there. Like, I guess Mina and Nemo are the two ones. Like, why are they here? They got fish to fry, I assume.
Nemo, I guess, is like, I mean, he's a pirate, so maybe, because we'll find out that Hyde's deal was like, he gets go back to jolly old England, right? So maybe Nemo also got some sort of pardon for some crime. But, yeah, I don't know where Mina's from. Is she from England as well?
They mentioned, like, Transylvania once, but I don't know if that was...
Well, so, like...
vampires, right?
Yeah, if she's Jonathan Harker's wife, Jonathan Harker or whatever is like the guy that goes to Dracula and gets bit by Dracula in the story. So yes. I would imagine he goes home and bites his wife or whatever. But like, I don't know where. I doubt they live in Transylvania, but maybe, I don't know. If that's the case, where did they find her? Did they go to Castle Dracula in Transylvania? I don't know. But so we have a big fight. Also, a guy who is clearly not part of the bad guy team lines up with them late, holding a different gun with a different outfit on.
Yeah,
and is able to sneak right in. And also,
they can't see in their little turtle outfits.
That's true. Yeah, they have a lot of bullshit on.
Vision must be a nightmare.
And Rasputin has like, I don't think he can see out of his outfit at all because he has a big giant mask on one side of his. Well, I guess he could see like one side. But yeah, he the Phantom shows up, and he's like, "You'll never stop me, League. I am the Phantom, which is not it's the Phantom of the Opera, not the Phantom from the stories, which maybe you were like, it's him, but it's not, and also not Rasputin." But then there is a chase and like a fight scene, and I like this fight scene. I think it's pretty good. You have, I forget, Mina doesn't do anything immediately, but she has like a little moment at the end. But then everybody else busts out their thing. Do you remember what everyone's moment is?
I believe that the Invisible Man like hits a guy. It's like, oh, you didn't see me there, did you?
Yeah, I think he like takes a gun out of someone's hand and like bonks him over the head with it. And also he has the bit where he like splashes the champagne on his face or whatever and then runs away to become invisible. And like rips his coat off. But it really does like, I'm like, oh, this is like really what it's like to take a coat off while running. It's hard.
It's true.
He struggles. What about our other characters? What does the guy, whatever the heck his name is?
Nemo?
No. Well, sure. What does Nemo do?
Oh, well, Nemo's is bizarre as fuck. So he's a pirate, right? So he has his weapon of choice, a sword. And, like, guys are shooting at him, and he's just, like, blocking him with sword strikes. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, so this is the part I think is so weird. So Dorian Gray, the invincible guy, he whips out a sword, like a cane sword or something, and just starts wrecking dudes. And they are, he's invincible, so it's fine. Like, he gets shot a bunch, as we'll see. But Nemo, even though everybody is just getting shot at left and right, one guy with this gun is like, draw your gun to Nemo. And, like, this is an ambush, dude. Just so Nemo can say his line, I walk a different path. And then he whips out his sword and fights this guy. But, like, what? Why didn't you give anybody else that option when they were unarmed? Why does he get to just stand there and have, like, a little duel? Because he wants to. I guess they're like, this guy seems like he's got something up his sleeve. I don't know what these guys' orders were. Just shoot at them. See if you can get them while I do my speech. But, like, there's no other purpose for it.
Yeah.
While that's going on, that one guy who wasn't part of the bad guys, but maybe he is, it turns out to be Tom Sawyer.
Yeah, Special Agent Sawyer.
Secret Service, I think, right? Or something?
I thought it was just Special Agent.
I think it's like I think it's SS. It's like SAS or something.
Why would the Secret Service do this?
Couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
Why would any of them do this? We still haven't figured it out.
There was no CIA yet, because that would have been a very CIA thing. So I guess, America's like, we got to get it on the game. They had a party without us.
Mm-hmm. And he's like, he gave the same explanation. He's like, yeah, I mean, if there's a war, we'll probably get involved too. So might as well.
Might as well send me, one man, to join your secret society.
Yeah, one random kid, like, who's got a cool gun and stuff, but besides that, doesn't. And he's a good driver, we'll find out. But
somehow, their cars aren't a thing yet. How does he know how to drive so well?
America. He's got American blood running through his veins. American muscle car blood.
I guess.
But he also... And this actor is the other actor of note, probably, when this movie came out. This is Shane West, most notably from, like, A Walk to Remember. So that's something. I remember, like, I forget, somebody I knew. It might have been my sister. Might have been some... Like, I feel like he's one of those guys that, like, teenage girls at the time were like, ooh, him.
He's so handsome.
Which, like, sure. If you say so, yeah.
Totally fine.
And then Alan Quartermain races and tries to catch the Phantom. And, like, almost does. He gets close.
Yeah.
What happens then?
Well, then it's over.
Yeah, right? Win. The Phantom sucks. He gets so lucky.
Well, he has no powers, I guess.
Yeah,
I mean,
nothing.
We learn who he is.
If he get caught, I'm sure Sean Connery would just like bonk him over the head. Some of his things would fall off, and he'd be like, "Yep, this was a test. You all passed. Okay, now the real mission. Obviously, I wasn't the Phantom. I was just doing an impression just now. Those guys weren't trying to kill you."
And like, how did the Phantom? I forget how he sounded. It was like, "Yo, I can't
It's
even
like
remember.
it's like a Russian like what were some of his lines?
The
like,
League, you'll never be able to stop me.
Yeah, the guy's like, "You can't shoot your missile in here. This is helium or hydrogen." And he's like, "I know. I want to shoot it with hydrogen." Bah. Like, so he's like, that's why I read Rasputin from that guy.
Yeah.
Because he's also very weird.
It was also very jowly. I
Yeah.
felt like.
Well, he's also supposed to kind of look like a burn victim. But
Yes.
as we learn, this is just this guy doing a funny impression of what he thinks this guy would be. Like,
Yeah. It's
just awesome. So then, after the fight, Mina comes in, does some vampiring. That's kind of fun.
She gets her. I was just gonna say she gets her cute line, which is the guy like has her blade to Mina's throat, and the guy is like, "Drop all your weapons!" All the guys, and they do, and it's like, "See, even they can't protect you." And she goes, "That's where you're mistaken. You think they need to protect me?" Rah! And just fucks him up. I actually kind of like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought that was fun.
I think most of the dumb lines worked. Because also, this is where we get one of the first Dorian Gray, like, cheeky Dorian Gray lines, where the guy's like, "We shot you so much." He rips his shirt off, and then his bullet holes just ash away. And he's like, "What are you?" And he says, "I'm complicated." So
yeah,
he's got a
many of those
demeanor.
Lines in this movie.
Oh.
And you're right, they like mostly work.
Yeah, that one scene where they fight is nothing but those lines. They're all speaking to each other in little puns. It's so funny near the end of the movie. But then he's like, "You know what? I do want to do this because she's hot and a vampire, and also I'm part of it. So I'm gonna do it." And Tom Sawyer's like, "I want to come too," and they're like, "I don't think so." But then Mina's like, "But he should come," and there's the whole thing. And
eventually, Quartermain's like, "You're in."
Yeah, Quartermain's like, "You gave me the sweet gun. You could be part of it." And then they find the last member of the team, Mr. Hyde.
Yep.
Who is some sort of Hulk figure.
Yes.
Now, we talked about this with Diggins originally in the books. When I forget when this came up, but this came up for Mummy. Mr. Hyde was just a guy, but the movies have turned him into this like evil monster man, who is part gorilla, and he looks a lot like Luther from Umbrella Academy. The way they make his body, and also he has those mutton chops, just like Luther does, kind of.
It is interesting how like Mr. Hyde is supposed to be like he's like a criminal who like beats people up, and like that's different from Dr. Jekyll.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah,
we'll have to ask Diggins whenever he comes back from being a spy. But
he'll probably find out firsthand from the real one who was a real guy.
True.
Yeah.
So it's in this movie, right? He's muscly. He has a big hat. It's a nice big top hat, which is cool.
Where'd he get it?
And
did he make it? They don't make top hats that big. They pick it up, and it's like as big as a bowl. It's weird. It's cute, but it's weird. Because all the rest of his clothes are in tatters. Did he dress up in a suit and a giant top hat so he could have the top hat when this all... Because the top hat also falls off. I don't know. It's a great little addition. It doesn't make a lick of sense.
That's a fair point. That's a great point, Nando. And in The Mummy, Mr. Hyde just turns yellow, right? That was the...
Yeah, he turns yellow, and he gets, like, a different accent. This guy, just like the Hulk, gets, like, a deeper voice, but he's still more or less him. Like, he's got, like, a different persona, but that persona still talks like a guy.
Yeah, it's just a little bit deeper and slower. It's actually, you know what it is? It's Diggins' Vin Diesel.
Yeah.
That's how he talks.
Well, and it's like there's the bit where they're like, you want to go back to England? Well, you can, even though you've done all these crimes, and I guess, like, I don't know, you'll do them when you get there. And he's like, home is where the heart is, so I would like to go back. And then like, in a second, I'm like, why do you even bother with the other version of this guy? Just have this guy. Make him the Hulk the whole time. I don't think the other ones are useful.
Well, as we learn, right, the formula has a limit.
Yes.
So, yeah.
So, this is our team. This is the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. They're great. And they have to go stop a thing. The man, the dude, the whatever, the Phantom.
So there's a secret summit in Venice to stop World War I?
Yeah. That's a good thing. But then maybe they'll all die in it, so that's a bad thing.
Yeah, dying's bad.
And the Phantom's going to attack it, but they can't even get to Venice in time. How could they? But maybe...
Yeah, it's 1899. If you want to get from England to Venice, it'll take you, what, a year?
Yeah, right. I don't know.
Who knows?
But apparently the Nautilus, the submarine, is very fast. And this surprises everyone.
And also a cheating mechanism.
I like it. I like that that's his value, but also, I mean, it gets way dumber as things move on. Like in this point in the movie, it's just a pretty fast submarine, which, like, yeah, whatever. Later it will be a lot of other things.
It will also be, apparently our characters can do whatever they want given enough elbow grease and willpower. You can do anything. You could fix giant gaping holes that are in the hull of a submarine.
Yeah.
A thing that is made of metal. And if you could just fix it, easy. Shut up.
It's a good submarine. And it's a pretty submarine. Another part of why I like just like the design of this movie in general. Fun look.
It's a nice aesthetic.
Yeah.
It's like steampunky, but...
And it's also very like it feels like Victorian or like of that time period without being incredibly steampunky, like which is you know, it's not like overly engineered like steampunk usually is. It's very sleek and almost kind of modern. It's like a big sword in the water. Apparently, also it runs on solar panels. That's a thing that he says at one point. I'm like, where? Yeah, that out of all of the things in the movie, that one really got me. Have we had solar panels for that long?
No, I mean, photovoltaic things that are used for solar panels. I don't think those came around till what, like the 50s or 60s, like because you would have needed. Yeah, there's a lot of things you would have needed, like you know, a lot of micro like silicone technology.
Yeah,
right, would have been based off that. So microelectronics. So yeah,
okay. So in history. In 1881, Charles Fritz created the first commercial solar panel, which was reported by Fritz as continuous constant force, not only by exposure to sunlight, but dim diffuse daylight. However, they were very inefficient. So I guess it seems like 1957, Mohammed M. Tala developed the first process of silicone surface passivation by thermal oxidation at Bell Labs. So that's probably the first one.
I bet he did.
But yeah, this 1881 one, like 1957, yes. 1881, no. But also, I guess that's earlier than I expected, so sure. Solar panels, very good.
Nautilus. Repairable beyond death.
Yeah, it'll get worse. So then there's a whole bit where they're traveling, and there's this like weird little spy hunt. And I don't get it.
Wait, which spy hunt?
Like when they're like, when it's like, someone might be a spy. Who should we all be suspicious of? And everyone gets a moment where it's like, he's praying to a death god. He's sneaking around my room. I found the thing from pictures. Like, it did feel like kind of out of left field. And also it's like, I guess it's just funny because there's really like about a second of movie where the team is assembled and they're like, I guess we're going to work together. And then immediately they all get in this boat and they're like, I'm pretty sure at least one of us is bad. But we don't know who.
And at no point do they think that, hey, remember when we got ambushed at that one place?
Yeah.
What if he was the best? Because, like, you said Among Us, right? If I were playing the game of Among Us and it was this, I feel like someone would have been like, hey, remember when, like, we first met Dorian? It's also when we first met the bad guy.
Yeah.
And Dorian, he seemed like whatever. I know he's kind of like apathetic in general, but a little sus. I think Dorian is a little sus.
Like, I feel like there's a better version of this movie where Quatermain purposefully, or like Quatermain had Skinner tail him, which isn't what happened. It's just kind of like Skinner like kind of stumbles upon that maybe he's part, like that Dorian's part of it. But even then, it's a little bit different. And that because he does pull one. He gets one over on Quatermain. Quatermain is also like the greatest hunter ever, and is very quick to like catch people off guard and be like, "Oh, there's something going on, and it's right behind me." But a couple of times he's taken completely by surprise. At one point, Skinner's just in his room, what was that? What was he doing?
Maybe he just loves to crime.
Yeah.
Nando, sometimes you're just into criming that. What are you going to do? Not commit crimes? We've talked about this before.
He's a good crime
guy. You
guy.
got to commit crimes.
And there's a lot of flirting because there's one girl, and almost every man except for Sean Connery wants to have sex with her so badly.
Well, I mean, it is a sausage fest aboard the Nautilus. I don't know if we've talked about it, but it's just sausage party. Yeah,
it's a mistake, They should have maybe, I don't know, found the lady mummy from the Mummy movie. I'm trying to think of what other female monsters. Bride of Frankenstein.
Yep.
Yeah, was she kicking around? I'm trying to think of other, like, Tarzan's wife, maybe. I don't know.
Wolf
Woman. Yep, that would have been helpful. All of those. And then it would have been, like, less weird for her. However, I'm not saying she's into it necessarily, but, she's like, most of the guys are either guys she's already slept with in the past, like Dorian. Guys that it seems like she's kind of into what's-his-name, Hyde, for a second, but not Jekyll.
A little bit of Black Widow Hulk action going on there.
Right? Especially,
I love powerful men.
And that one bit where he's like, "Oh, I'm yours," and then she gives a look like, "Ooh." And then Tom Sawyer's like being all American to her, and she's like, yeah, I don't care. But then later she will kind of flirt with him to get Dorian jealous. Or I guess she did that earlier, so whatever. It's fine. It's not.
You get the little bit of "you're young and sweet, neither are which qualities that I admire." I'm like, oh, another one of those lines.
Another line, yeah. They love them.
Those lines are. Imagine if people actually talked like that, because they don't.
Yeah.
Like,
maybe we should, though. Like, it's a lot of work to come up in the morning, like wake up in the morning, come up with a bunch of lines, kind of brainstorm based on where you think you'll be and who you'll like be with, and then be like, oh, okay. So when he talks about the football game, I should say, never liked a game like this ever, or something, and then like cross it out, like, that's stupid. And just have like a legal pad full of these notes all day, flipping through. I mean, it'd be easier to do on Zoom, or that's like true. over Skype than in person, but it's still tough. But maybe that was the way in Victorian. I mean, I've saw the Van Helsing movie. It's pretty much this. Like, I mean, this movie, have you've seen the Van Helsing movie, right? With what's his name, with Wolverine? Yeah. I think this movie is better than that one. Right? And, like, I think this movie, more than that one, leans into the cheesiness.
Yes, in a good way.
Yeah, in a good way. In, like, a B-movie, kind of monster movie way, which is something I'd expect from it. But then DJ thinks he's a lot weirder. We actually make it to Venice this time. We're in Venice.
Yes.
Not like this time, but, like, eventually they get to Venice. For the plot, and the plot involves blowing up all of Venice.
Real quick thing about the Nautilus, right? So, one thing we all know about Venice is that it has canals, right?
Yep.
Well, apparently the Nautilus can just traverse these canals because it's not, incredibly. These canals are thousands of feet deep, just infinite canals. When I saw the Nautilus running through these canals, I'm like, get the fuck out of here. There's no. Yeah, this is insane.
I got an image in my head of like a bus in like a drive-through lane, just trying to do like a bunch of little quarter turns so it can make a left. It's like,
how did it turn?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a really good ship. It's the best. It's got solar panels.
It should have just rolled into, like, honestly, give him an airship. Make the Nautilus an airship. Why not?
Yeah. What if it could also fly? That'd be cool.
because, like, not for nothing, like, I realize that Venice is not landlocked, but if, like, you were to tell me, oh, England to Venice in 4 days, how will we do it? Well, don't worry, this super fast boat. Well, it's like, yeah, but we got to go around a lot of oceans and stuff. Like,
yeah,
it's not like a win, but if you told me, like, oh, we have an airship, yeah.
Yeah, where's Phineas? Could
But
they
of
not get the
course.
rights to Around the World in 80 Days guy? Because it seems like he would be the guy. He
Yeah.
would have a part in the movie, but I guess, I don't know. They really like the Nemo character. And
They love him. They love him.
so
You know, it's hard to find a pirate who'll play ball, but yeah.
that's
anyway.
fair. And this is right when pirates were the hot new thing, too. Right? This is a post-Pirates of the Caribbean world, so maybe they were just like, well, we need a pirate. And we also need Johnny Depp, but they can't be the same guy. So we'll make Johnny Depp the Shane, or what's his name, and then we'll make the other one, the pirate, is a different guy. But okay, so then we have a mission. They're like, okay, so Mr. Phantom is blowing up all of these buildings, and they're falling like dominoes. And eventually they're going to blow up, they're going to fall on the right building and kill everybody.
Yep.
I still don't completely understand this,
Me neither.
but I feel like I've seen this movie enough that I should.
Well, if you're able to blow up all of the buildings, can't you just blow up your one building?
And even
Why?
well, the
go
domino
ahead.
plan is like, we'll get the dominoes, and then they'll fall, create a chain of destruction, and all the heroes have to do is blow up a building early, and that's fine. But then our the hero heroes are the off boat ones are like, okay, we'll drive a car, follow this chain of destruction, find out where it's going, shoot up a flare, and then you shoot a surface to air missile out of your
surface to surface, Nando.
or surface to surface, sure, yeah. To out of your submarine to hit the building and blow it up. And then you're like, why do you need the car for that? Can't you see where the buildings are exploding?
Not only that, nice throwaway line here. Hey, can you track the car? Of course I can.
Yeah.
How? Well, what do you got? Crystals?
Yeah.
They explain a lot of stuff away with crystals. I guess you have a crystal in one and a crystal in another one, and it's like, I got it.
I guess that's
I'm able
it.
to track now.
Because it's like, I don't know. I mean, it really is a bizarre plan that sets up this weird little chase that's fun. But even having seen this and 17 years later, I still don't understand what's going on. But it doesn't matter because it's fun. All of our main characters get in this giant car, like the one that the Red Skull drives, and drive through the streets of Venice while buildings are all exploding around them and stuff. And Skinner is nowhere to be found.
Yes.
Because he has left. Also, Hyde, isn't helping because he's the Hulk in this part of the movie. He's like, I don't want to let the Hulk out. He's bad. I don't know, man. I mean, this is pre-Avengers, so they got that part. They called it.
Quick aside, by the way, on missiles. So I didn't want to go the route of not knowing when the first missile was made because I didn't know about the solar panel thing. But I looked it up. You want to wager a guess as to when the first missiles were made?
Like first missiles being like an arrow with dynamite tied to it, or like the kind that he shoots?
Yeah, exactly.
20s. How about that? 1920s.
No, man, it's World War II. It's like
that sounds right.
The V1, the V2 rocket that the Germans used, that was it. That apparently was very revolutionary, and those were the first missiles. So Nemo's 50 years early, 40 years early? Good job, man. Good fucking job.
He's amazing.
It's just weird to me.
I mean,
this is a show called Mostly Nitpicking, so I will not apologize. But it's fine to have a submarine and a car. That's the thing, right? The first thing that amazes us is a car. And, Quartermain goes, what the bloody hell is that thing? And Nemo goes, I call it an automobile. And it's like, all right, he's 20 years early.
Mm-hmm.
Fine. But now we're jumping half a century. It's like, come on, dude. You can't wow me with cars and then wow me with rockets. Yeah, it's just weird.
Yeah. And the sequel, a year later, what the hell is that? This is a Nokia Sidekick or something. It's a phone that you can also play video games on. Amazing.
What's a phone?
Yeah, what games do you play? Checkers? No, you play Tony Hawk Pro Skater. Oh my goodness, what's that?
Also later, like, Skinner sends them a telegraph. Like, I was ready for him to, like, I don't know.
I love that.
Some other, like, bullshit.
Well, Skinner sends a telegraph, but then the bit... So, all right, well, we're almost there. So there's a big chase. It's fun. The guys in the car are, like, peeling out of the car to do their thing. What's his name? Dorian Gray just, like, leaves to do a sword fight with some guys they've already driven past. Like, okay. I don't think that's gonna help. Those guys are already past. Like, you're in the car... But he's like, I'll just do a sword fight because I'm the bad guy. And he does that. They're snipers, and Tom Sawyer tries to shoot them from far away, but he can't do it. And then Mina says the line, where is it?
Like, these men are mine?
Yeah, save your bullets. These men are mine. And then flies up and does this. That effect is one of the, like, shittier ones, but it's funny looking, so I like it. Where she's just, like, floating in midair, surrounded by smoke and bats.
Yeah, that one was... It was weird, right? So it's like, vampire power, you can turn into many bats, and then, they can't shoot. Sean Connery is like, oh, looks like our friend's giving us cover. Like... Yeah. All right, man. Like, you're taking this in stride pretty well. Like, I know you already saw a lot of this stuff, but you're just like, oh...
Yeah, it's funny.
Good thing we have this woman here.
Well, Sean Connery is both, like, amazed and not amazed by a lot of stuff. Like, he's like, he's very like, oh my goodness, I've seen all the magic and done all kinds of hunting and witch doctors and stuff, but also it's like an invisible man. Never in a million years. This would be insane. Like an automobile. Like I'm like, I guess maybe in Kenya he hasn't heard about all this other stuff that's been up. Maybe there's invisible men running around all over the place, but yeah, he's very confused. Also, the Nemo, there's this one bit where in this thing where they're like they have like our Nautilus crew, which is just Nemo and Ishmael, are like, we have to shoot the car or whatever, and the Nautilus is getting hit a bunch with like falling debris or something, and some, I guess, like not first mate, I guess, but some navigation guys like, we have to leave. And Nemo shouts.
I think that's Ishmael.
No, because Ishmael...
You sure?
I'm pretty sure, because Ishmael also has... I don't know, maybe. But I think Ishmael also has a line like this later. Maybe. I don't know. But Nemo shouts, no, we stay and do our job. And then Ishmael is in the thing later, and he also yells like, Captain says we stay, we stay. They're very, very dramatic.
Yeah.
In a different, and tonally differently from the other ones, because everybody else is really cheeky. So then they do the thing. Everyone's saved. Hooray, hooray. There's, I think, Quartermain finds M, or not M, the Phantom.
Oh.
In the streets and just like peels out of the car, which whatever. Chases him, finds out he's not M. We find out right around then that Dorian is the spy.
Yes.
The reason we find that out is because there is a scene only we and Ishmael see where Dorian shoots Ishmael. He does not kill Ishmael. And Ishmael, like, he does it so he can steal the little nautiloid. But, like, it's weird because Ishmael, like, I figured he killed him. And then Ishmael comes out later and he's like, it's Dorian. He's the bad guy. And I'm like, Dorian, I don't think it matters because you're just going to send a message anyway and also wave at us and stuff. He's just the most dramatic man that ever lived.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess if you're that old and you can't die, you got to have fun doing something, you know?
Yeah, it's like where your entertainment comes from.
Yeah.
Also, what else are you doing, right?
Yeah. No, that's very fair. So then we've got we learn that the Phantom is mostly makeup and stuff. And,
yes.
And it's a different guy. It's, what's his name? It's M.
It's M.
From earlier or something.
Wait, Nando, the person who brought together the League is actually the villain?
That's exactly it.
Why on earth would you assemble an Avenger-style team to take yourself down?
Well, actually, you'll see it's actually quite clever. What he did was, it's half clever. What he did was, he assembled his Avengers so he could steal all of their powers by having Dorian just, like, nick them, like, catch them with a little bit of, like, glass or whatever. And he could have it. He had them in, like, a little box, and he stole the potion, and he took pictures with a big old camera. We see a flashback to that, which is adorable. And then he gets in the Nautiloid, which is like a little extra ship that can go on its own and, like, flies or swims away. And so it turns out Skinner was not the spy. Where was Skinner? Well, I mean, it doesn't matter. But also, this is all information given to us by a, like, record, like a recording. But we see it. And we see, like, Moriarty, who is Moriarty, by the way, classic, what's his name, Bill and Sherlock Holmes. But he's not, right? Or is he?
What do you mean?
Like, is he a Moriarty or is he a follower of Moriarty? I couldn't figure that one out.
Oh, God. I just thought he was the Sherlock Holmes Professor Hubert Moriarty, whatever the fuck his name is.
But he says that in the thing. He's like, someone's like, Moriarty's dead. And he's like, yes, Moriarty fell at Reichenbach Falls. I am just a follower of Moriarty's. But I was also like, but what is that? Is that from something too? Did I not read enough Sherlock Holmes to know if that guy is him?
I totally forgot about that till just now. My brain just made that like, oh, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter. But I think it's James Moriarty. Is that right?
It is.
Yeah. It's been so long since I watched one of the 4 identical Sherlock Holmes things that all came out.
Things, whatever.
Elementary, the one with Robert Downey Jr., the one with gnomes. I probably have to catch up on my Sherlock Holmeses. He should have been in this. I guess he died as well. Watson should have been in this. Yeah, but I love there's an image. Oh, there's my favorite line in the whole movie. I think everyone's favorite line. Maybe. I don't know. Moriarty, during his little speech, is like, I know what you're thinking. How did I do this? I set my wolf upon your sheep. And then, in a little clip, we see Dorian Gray go, growl.
Yeah, I love that.
Delicious.
I loved it. Oh, delicious.
I will
say
that bit, not necessarily this character, but that line and the delivery, delicious. I only feel bad for our heroes. They weren't able to see his face when he said it. So it makes it so much better.
The little snarl to the mouth, like a growl.
Yeah.
Like, see some teeth there. Oh,
he knows how much fun this is. He's great.
Right?
So he growls, and then they do... What happens next? Oh, and then the Nautilus explodes.
Well, yeah, because he's like... He has great... It's like, why would I tell you this? At the edge of victory, why would I give you the plan? Well, it's simple. You're all dead. I've set crystal sensors attached to bombs, attached to other things, and bye-bye.
Right, and then, during this whole thing, Hyde has been, like, freaking out. In a reflection, much like the Hulk movie that would come out either that year or the next year, being like, oh, Hyde, it hurts. Turn it off. And you're like, okay. And I guess it's because of this weird whistle sound thing.
Yeah. So it's interesting, right? Moriarty steals Hyde's or Dr. Jekyll's potion.
Yep.
Skin cells from the Invisible Man.
Yep.
The vampire's blood and the photos from the Nautilus.
That's right.
Nothing to get from Quartermain or Sawyer.
Well, Sawyer wasn't supposed to be there, and all Quartermain did was catch, what's his name? The big one, Mr. Hyde. That was his contribution. I think that's mentioned at some point.
Fair.
Yeah.
So, despite all that, we only get payoff for 3 of the 4 things, right? Like, we get, the technology, sure, they're able to make Invisible Men, they're able to make the potion, but they cannot make more vampires.
That's true. There's no more Draculas, even though that seems like the easiest one to reproduce.
Right?
Because the delivery system is just, like, injected into your blood. But also, yeah, I don't know. Maybe they were saving that for the sequel. because the box of things does fall into the ocean, like Captain America does at the end of Captain America.
True. And Quartermain's going to come back.
Yeah, and he's back.
Spoiler.
As Victor Frankenstein. Maybe. That'd be fun.
That would be great.
A witch doctor. But then, so Nautilus explodes. There's this weird little tracking thingy. What was that?
Oh, so it was like, there was like a picture of the globe. And like, okay, so there were two needles, right? Offset by like, I don't know, like a couple feet, right?
Yeah.
Maybe a foot.
Something like that.
And the globe would like spin, but the needles wouldn't move. Like instead of the needles moving around the globe, like the globe would spin to say, here's where we are, the one needle, and here's where they are, the other needle. It was very odd.
Yeah, so my thing with that was like, okay, so the needle spins. Like, the globe spins and the needles go. But, like, what information does that give? That the both boats are on the Earth, and one is going and one is going less?
And, like, if you get closer, do the needles get closer? Like, I couldn't... And it was like crystals. It's like, because crystals are everything. If we have to explain technology, it's fucking crystals. It's like you know, it's like Burning Man. And it's just lots of crystals and, like, the stars. But also, yeah, like, what... I guess there were even bigger crystals on the Nautiloid or whatever. But then they get a transmission because they explode. There's a bit where Dr. Hyde has to save everybody, which is fine. Yeah, he's the hero that they needed. And he does that. And then, there's a montage of them repairing the ship, which is bananas because there's giant holes in the hull.
Yeah.
And it's made of metal. Where'd they get the extra metal from? Like... God damn it. Like, maybe your submarine's a boat now, but no.
Yeah.
Because it breaches later. I couldn't. You see from the exterior a huge hole in the ship. And what? I mean, I guess they keep spare metal on board.
He seals it off with his big giant hands, kind of. But also, like, yeah, you figure even if you seal it off, the ship probably doesn't work very well. But. Right now. But yeah,
go ahead, sorry.
Well, they also get a communique from a certain...
Skinner. Like, hello, my lovelies.
It's hello, my cheeky darlings, I think is the line specifically.
Love that.
Bizarre.
Love that.
Yeah. And he's like, I'm on the ship. I snuck on the ship. I didn't do it on purpose, really, but then I did.
So he sneaks on the Nautiloid, right?
Yep.
How did not once Dorian Gray, like, bump into him in the Nautiloid?
What did he eat? This man does not eat. He was on the whole thing. Yeah, and not only did he not bump into him, because it's tiny. It's mostly crystals, I would assume, and like a little space for a guy. So he was hiding on it, and also, he didn't poop, he didn't eat, he didn't drink. I assume getting from wherever they are to, like, whatever, Castle Moriarty.
Like the North Pole.
Yeah, in this teeny, tiny little thing that seems to go maybe 7-8 miles an hour max on the water is going to be a long trip. They don't have a Nautilus yet because they have to steal that.
Yeah.
So he's just there the whole time, just doing nothing. I mean, he also is able to send like a communication. So I guess maybe he does that while like what's his name's asleep.
Or he breaks into the castle by that point, I assume.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. He is in the castle. Yeah. So yeah, then he's just doing nothing that whole ride, which good for him.
Does it fart?
Yeah.
Can you imagine if he like farts and Dorian Gray's like, Skinner?
Right?
Because that's the other thing. Going to your point about being able to fight an invisible man, Dorian Gray knows there is a invisible man.
Yep.
So like he should be ready he should just have his arms stretched out, swinging in circles just at all times.
Yeah.
Where are these invisible men?
And he has convinced the rest of the team that Skinner left. But he knows that that's probably some kind of lie, or at best some sort of convenient excuse that he's able to. But like he, more than anyone else, should be like, but he might still be around.
Yeah.
So like I'm gonna bring some of that flash powder maybe and just toss it in every empty room as I enter it, just in case. But again, like. It just doesn't even occur to him. So whatever. Skinner's able to just like do the whole thing. It's great. I mean, I love it. And Yeah, I mean, also, I would assume a teeny tiny submarine like that, or like little boat, doesn't have a whole lot of air in it, right? Like, what does he breathe? Yeah. Is it an open top? Do you like crack the top and then like? Because this one, the little Nautiloid doesn't even seem like it goes underwater. It's just no, because he says it's an exploring vehicle.
Exploration pod. Yeah, so it would have to.
Well, but maybe it's like exploring just like little rivers. I don't know. I mean, yeah, you'd have to assume it works underwater, though, because it's part of a submarine.
Or else what good is it, even though you already have the submarine?
Yeah, the submarine can cut corners and, like, As long as you cut the emergency brake on the submarine, it can do a full drift turn.
Actually, I think it would have been better if, when they're in Venice, they all crammed into the Nautiloid. Like, that could have gone down the canals easily.
That would have been cute. Well, also... Like, it's, I guess, if anything, it's like a throwback to that one bit in the first Indiana Jones movie, I think, where Indiana Jones gets on a submarine from the outside and, like, sits on it, like, holds on to the periscope. It goes down into the water and then it just comes up later. Like, but it's, I don't know. It's very strange. I wouldn't be as bothered by it if it was some regular-sized ship where I think he would have any chance in hell of hiding. Versus like a teeny tiny one-person sized vehicle. But I don't know. I guess he like even like the bit where the bit where it ejects from the Nautilus. I feel like it like shoots out a little bit. I feel like Dorian Gray would like get in the Nautiloid and Skinner would sneak in like, hey, I've got this one, cheeky me. And then Dorian would put on a seatbelt and Skinner would be like, wait, what? And then just the thing would shoot out into the air and he would smash into one of the walls and just start bleeding all out. I guess you couldn't see the blood, but he'd be like, something definitely didn't make a sound it was supposed to make. But he survives miraculously. Maybe he is much like translucent. His skin is invulnerable.
Maybe. Also, he's able to get to the Arctic and just hang out with no clothes on without getting frostbite or anything.
And I guess not eating anything again. But maybe he manages to sneak into a kitchen.
Well, that tiger, he probably had that.
Yeah,
tiger.
That's true. The tiger, that's an analogy or something, but also it's a tiger. So they go to the Arctic and find Skinner, and they're like, we need to do a plan. And the plan is, what's their plan for this? Because we just kind of described Moriarty. He's building 8 Nautiluses. He's got a bunch of extra blood and like he's doing all kinds of experiments. Also, I don't think this is ever part of any plan, but his best weapon functionally in this whole thing is just a big giant armored man. Like, good, that's good. But what's the heroes' plan here?
Very simple plan. It's let's just blow this shit up.
Yeah, it's like if we put bombs everywhere, the whole thing will explode.
All the blood will blow up. All the formula will blow up. It's all gonna blow up.
And I think as a plan, it's about as good as you can hope for. It works really well, and it doesn't kill any of them, even though most of them are still inside the thing as it blows up.
Yeah,
like. It's pretty awesome. There's no way that they can have seen it going this well. Like, I would expect, as someone watching this movie, that at least 1 or 2 members of the team would sacrifice themselves. One member does, but it's kind of just for another dumb reason.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like, because they're debating about who to go plant the bombs, and Skinner's like, oh, it's gotta be me. I'm invisible. I can plant that bomb. No problem. And Sean Connery's like, oh, Skinner, you had me fooled all along. Turns out you're a hero after all.
Yeah.
Another cheeky line.
Very good. But, yeah, I loved it. So then...
commence plan, really, right?
Yeah, like, they just go and do it. It's mostly, what's his name? It's mostly Skinner, who has the bombs, sneaking in and putting them down, while everyone else goes into the place and tries to rescue scientists. Oh,
yeah, there's scientists who are held hostage here because you need scientists. This is, very Captain America. We need
and also very like Wild Wild West at this point. I feel like it's just like, I'm the villain, and I'll start a big war that'll be better than all the other wars, and then I'll take over, and I'm stealing all the scientists to make weird weapons that don't make any sense, but I'm done it.
So you know what's weird? So in the beginning, he steals the plans, right?
Yep.
Why were those important to his plan? Because he's not using any mystical thing. I'm like, oh, it's going to be a mystical whatever, but it's not.
The plans to Venice?
Yeah.
I guess it's like a red herring to be like, set everyone on a wild goose chase and get them to Venice.
That's very silly.
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
very silly.
It really feels like halfway through the movie, someone realized that the villain should be someone else, and then they tried to figure out what character the villain could be. And they were like, well, all the main characters are in a room at this one point, except for Dr. Jekyll, and it can't be him unless it's the guy in charge. I guess it's that guy instead. What M's haven't we used from books yet? Moriarty. Sure. Like, whatever. Okay, so then we get a bunch of showdowns. First one is Nemo. Well, Nemo just like gets some guys. He's helpful.
He's so fast with sword.
Yeah.
He does sword so well.
And at no point do we get a sword fight between him and the other sword guy. Good sword boy.
Who's the other sword boy?
What's his name? The bad guy. The Johnny Depp.
Dorian Gray.
Dorian Gray.
Oh, yeah. That would have made fucking sense.
I mean, he would have lost big time because Dorian Gray doesn't need to exist. He can just keep stabbing himself with the sword to get to you if he wants. And so that's his plan, and then also that's Hyde's plan, and Hyde is like big giant Hyde at this point. He's given up on being normal, weak, puny Hyde, puny Jekyll. Mina is going to go catch Dorian, who we learn his portrait was stolen, and he's kind of being blackmailed. So I guess it was on his wall, because I think he says that. He's like, you even noticed my portrait wasn't on my wall.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, whatever. And, her and him have a fight. This is the fight that's nothing but puns. So the first thing that he's like, I think he says like, what does he say? There's one line where they go into the bedroom and he's like, oh, the bedroom. Do you have any ideas or memories? And she's like, ideas. And she kicks him in the balls. Very fun.
Yep.
He nails her to the bed with his sword.
Yeah.
Even knowing what she can do and what her whole deal is, I guess. He doesn't know the rules of vampires, but
he even says a line earlier. They start fighting and they both deal fatal blows to each other, and he goes, this is gonna take forever.
No, it's we'll be here all day.
Oh,
yeah, he's great because this movie came out in 2003. Much like X-Men 2, which has the Wolverine Lady Deathstrike fight, which is pretty much the same fight, which is just like this one hits this one hits this one traps this one, and then, oh no, the other one gets the better of that one with the thing. And in the other movie, it's adamantium. With this, it's the portrait. But he gets her to the bed, stabs her onto the bed, and he says the line, and I wrote this one down, I wanted to nail you one last time. Didn't think it'd be literally. That's terrific. Also, when she shows up, he says, hello, lover. Or she says, hello, lover. That's fun. I like that she's also having fun, She's not taking this too seriously. None of them are. And I like that she's able to enjoy it. So who else is... So Quartermain has to go find M. That bit's weird.
Yeah, and it's not clear why they need M, right? The plan just blow up the facility, rescue the people. I
think at one point, M's like, I'll do it again. Eventually, I'll get a new LXG from books from later, and I'll assemble... I don't know. I'll get a Frankenstein and a Wolfman.
Johnny Appletree.
The big blue ox.
Paul Bunyan.
What else? Who else is from Mysteries? Krampus.
Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter.
Yeah, the Jersey Devil. The sexy lady mummy. I'll get all of them, and we'll do a new LXG. and I'll kill all you so you can't tell them, even though I have a feeling word will get out. But whatever.
John Wick.
Yeah, Baba Yaga. Hellboy. He could be part of it. But, so there's a fight with them. I feel like something happens with another Invisible Man, and this is when I think the Invisible Man effects stop existing, and it's just Tom Sawyer getting beat up in a room with a gun. Like, hey, don't do that. Don't hit me with this gun. And it's like, oh, no, it's a different invisible guy or something.
And then he gets, like, punched in the stomach, and you do, like, the very obvious, oh,
yeah.
like you're, like, doubled over.
Like he's a wrestler.
Like, yes.
And then they fight, and he doesn't get him yet. But Skinner gets burnt alive.
Dude, I thought that was the end of Skinner.
I did too, but then also, like, what happens? Why can we see his skin now?
Great question.
Right?
And follow up, he lives and he's better by the end of the movie. I don't know if this was silly of me, I thought that at the end of the movie he was going to be in bandages.
Yeah, me too.
He was burned alive.
But he doesn't. No. They skip that and go straight to he's Invisible Man again. The one you know and love from earlier. Which, who knows. But, and I guess they took the Nautilus to Africa, but if they didn't, maybe it just took so long his bandages healed and they didn't need him. And then the Hydes have a fight where Mr. Hyde...
Scrappy-Doo.
Yeah, he fights Scrappy-Doo, and Scrappy-Doo takes a formula, and, like, he's all shaky when he does it. I don't understand why. While he's, like, drinking it.
Yeah, and he chugs it. So it's a comically large, like, lab vial.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, it's one that Mr. Hyde would use. Right?
Yeah.
'Cause he's so big, like the big top hat. And this guy takes it and he drinks it and he's shaking. And he's like, oh, and like at some point it's just spilling onto his chest. Like it's not even like going down his throat.
Yeah, it's like champagne or something. He's so excited.
And then he goes, no, not that much. And it almost like, not that much formula. Like, oh no.
Yeah.
Like that's too much. Like I'm sad. Not like, no, not that much formula. No. It was weird. I thought the way he did that line was weird.
I like that line read because for me that read, I think the line is like, not all at once or something.
Yes.
And it's almost like, oh, this is gonna be a pain. Because a lot of the characters when there's a fight or something, their reaction isn't like, isn't scared. It's just like, I didn't want to have to do a fight. I guess I will. Ugh. I wanted to do chemistry or whatever it was. I thought this was for, because they can all win all the fights. So. Yeah, he turns into Scrappy-Doo, and he gets, like, an uneven body. Now, we haven't really talked about this, but, I mean, we talked about it a tiny bit. When Hyde and Jekyll transform, it's body horror, where it's, like, him struggling with, like, one giant hand and one little hand, and then cut with some smoke to a different prosthetic, clearly a prosthetic man. But this guy just turns into pure CGI garbage.
Yeah.
And it's so out of place.
Garbage. It's awful.
But it's okay because he's burning through the formula and at an accelerated rate. It's going to be fine. We just have to, I guess, like, run away or something. Because this guy also has teeny tiny legs.
Oh my god, yeah. And like one big arm and one like kind of noodly arm.
Yeah. So, I don't know. This guy's lucky as hell that these guys don't exploit that. But they find a place that he can't go. So I guess that's part of it.
Yeah.
But,
and then Nemo does a very fast, like, cut blade scene where it's like you're almost witnessing Nemo at 1.5 speed as he slashes through the abomination.
Yeah, he does like a Zandatsu from fucking Metal Gear, and but it doesn't really get the abomination that bad, but it does hurt his little hand when he's got Hyde in his hands. I do think it's funny that the Hyde is mostly prosthetics, I think probably aided by some CGI. But what's funny about it is it's a guy, it's like like big giant torso and like slightly bigger legs when he's, in Hyde form, but like mostly torso, which means it's this actor running around with some sort of weird rig on, probably, that lets him kind of move the arms. But mostly when he walks, his arms just don't move. Like that episode of Seinfeld where the person walks and he's like, his arms are always at his side and he's just peeking around like, what's going on up there? I guess he's going through the formula. And it looks really silly. He looks like a little puppet. Because his arms are too big. How does Mina kill Dorian Gray? I think we've kind of talked about this, but...
You wouldn't believe it, but she nails him to the wall.
Oh, my God.
And she just, like, takes the picture and is like, look at this, you fool. And he does not close his eyes, which I assume one would do when...
presented with your death portrait, yeah.
Yeah, right? Like... Haha, Mina. And, like, because that would have been fun. She could have, like, ripped off his eyelids or something, like, weird.
Yeah,
like,
eating them up.
But, yeah.
But...
and then he dies. And then the portrait looks beautiful.
His portrait originally looks like the Crypt Keeper. And then, it turns into him later. But, okay. So then we get the final confrontation between... the guy, whatever his name is, Moriarty, and Quatermain. Now, they're like... And I think this is where Moriarty kind of explains all of his bits, and it's like he's in like an attic or something full of stuff. I'm sure it's lots of cute, like, I don't know. I'm sure it's like a telltale heart or something in there. I don't know. But, so, Quatermain and Moriarty are like, one for one in each other, kind of like throwing stuff at each other. They're both old men. And this is where I think Moriarty's like, I'll just do another war and make another LXG. And then, so Quatermain is the greatest hunter that ever lived. Nothing gets by him.
Yes.
Except apparently the Invisible Man, evil bad guy Invisible Man, is able to kidnap, what's his name? Tom Sawyer, sneak up right behind him, and then Moriarty takes the mask that's around and uses that to show Quatermain the reflection in the shiny mask, and then Quatermain is like, oh my God, right behind me, it's like my apprentice, all struggly and whatever. Also earlier in that scene, Quatermain sees M sneaking around, shoots him, and it turns out it's a mirror. The fuck, man? That tricks you?
Yeah, right.
This guy is just invincible, and that's it. That's his only help. But, like, you didn't hear that he wasn't there? But, I don't know, maybe he's just old.
Yeah, he didn't have his glasses on.
That's true,
Remember the glasses? He needs those. Shock's getting old.
And then they shoot Moriarty as he's slowly running away. It's pretty funny.
It's weird that Quatermain dies just because he gets stabbed.
I mean, he's super
such
old.
A weak death. Yeah. It's just like weak.
Well, maybe I guess his power is that he can die a bunch, but not.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I don't know. But he's got that little moment with Tom Sawyer again, where he teaches Tom Sawyer how to shoot. You got all the time in the world, boy. Just wait for your shot. It's coming. And he kills Moriarty. Moriarty drops all of the thingies into the water for the sequel, maybe. Who knows? Big polar bear vampire, invisible polar bear vampire.
Ooh.
With pictures of a submarine.
Scary.
Yeah, who could know what comes from that? And then that's the end, I think, right?
Yeah, we get the end where they all go to Africa, where Quatermain has been buried, and it turns out he lives. Yeah, the witch doctor does a thing, and then the gun shoots, and I guess that's him being alive again or something. It's weird. It's like it's almost like his hand is gonna come from the ground, and then it cuts, but like it's just like right before that it cuts to black, like almost like Batman v Superman, where it's like the dirt shakes a little bit and then it like cuts to credits. Like it's very similar to that. A very similar feel.
Yeah. I think that's right. It's very like, it feels like Man of Steel or whatever it is, Batman v Superman, where like the ground rises off the coffin and you're like, I guess
That's
this means he's
yeah.
still alive, but they haven't figured out how yet. So if they want to make another one, then that's what they'll do.
It's short enough to be like, wait, did I really see that? It's like very...
But it's...
Because every time I see that movie, for whatever reason I'm watching it, I wait for that moment, and it's like, you blink and it's gone.
And it's like, I kind of want them to make another one. I imagine they can't with most of these or like not can't, but they wouldn't. They'd want to like recast it. But I don't know. I think I could see they've threatened to make another one of these a lot, and I don't want a dark and gritty one, which is probably what would read closer to the comic.
Zack Snyder's League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
But I think that would be the direction they would go with it. It maybe 5 years ago, but I could see now getting like Taika Waititi's League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, or like I think Guillermo del Toro's League of Extraordinary Gentlemen would hypothetically be the best League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. But I'm trying to think of who else I'd love to see do this.
Yeah, for sure.
Because there's quite a few like funny like directors that I think could give this like Guy Ritchie could do an interesting one. Like I think Guillermo del Toro is pretty hot right now. Like he's got that like kind of attach his name to something and people get interested, and he does creature stuff, so that would be fun. I don't know. Do you have any directors you'd like to see a take on the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen?
I'm so bad. So, like, I just think this would be interesting, but I feel like the Quentin Tarantino League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, where it's, like, overly gory and insane.
That would be interesting.
I might like
but
that.
But not super, not, like, dark and grim, because it would still, Quentin Tarantino movies still have a ton of, like, humor and personality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just, like, play up the gore.
That would be fun. I mean, he did whatchamacallit, or he didn't direct whatchamacallit, someone with Selma Hayek. Sexy vampire lady.
Yeah.
Like, he did that. He produced, I want to say it's called Dead Day something. I cannot
remember.
I don't know. It's fine. But, yeah, vampire movie, clearly within his, like, purview. So, that would be a way to, like, go. So, yeah. I don't know. I'd like it if they made another one of these. I think they should give it to like a funky auteur director. I mean, this guy who did Blade did fine. I'm trying to think of like a movie that's like Blade that like came out recently. That's like a fun action horror movie. I wouldn't mind. You know, I wouldn't mind Mark Miller, or not Mark Miller.
Oh, that could be good. Yeah.
The other guy, the guy that makes all the Mark Miller movies. That's his name. Wait, is it Mark Miller? No. Because he's the one that writes, like, Kingsman. But whoever directed Kingsman.
I do not know who you speak
It's
of.
a different guy. It's Matthew Vaughn. I wouldn't mind seeing Matthew Vaughn's, like, super stylized, funky British. Because Matthew Vaughn, I would say, is, like, at his best, he's, like Guy Ritchie, but not Guy Ritchie. But he's more like, action-y and... fantastic isn't the right word, but yeah, like fancy spectacle, and like I think a big version of this with like, but I think you could probably take a little bit from the books and make it less superheroes and probably more like almost, you know what this is like? It's a lot like Doom Patrol. I think you could take something like Doom Patrol and get that tone where they're not superheroes, they're just guys that deal with stuff. They don't really have superpowers as much as this one's a little bit bigger and a little bit stronger than most people, but it's not like he's invulnerable and he's got a, you know, his gunshots turn to bullets. But I do think, I think this is I think it's worth doing this again. That being said, if they never touch it again, I'm fine with that too. Because I like the one that we have.
This is a good movie.
Yeah. And it's very like it's a 2003 movie, which is nice. Like, I like a nice movie that feels like the time that it's in without like being ashamed of it, which is probably like, it works pretty well within its limitations, which is one of the things I think was great. Why the X-Men movies hold up a lot better than some of the other superhero movies of that genre, like even Catwoman, but like Superman Returns or whatever, where it's like, the CGI wasn't that great. It was kind of okay. But, this costume didn't look right. And it's like, well, they figured if you don't make the costumes a big focus and you don't make the CGI, try to do more practical, make an Invisible Man or two, you usually turn out okay. But yeah, I think I have a feeling if we got another Hellboy, I feel like if Hellboy hadn't bombed, we'd probably get another one of these. But because Hellboy bombed, I bet we won't.
Yeah.
Which is fine with me. What else? You want to get some classic segments, DJ?
Yeah, let's do our classic segment.
All right. Do you have anything wonderful to recommend to these fine people?
So unfortunately, I don't have a lot of new content this week because whatever, no excuses. But I got a couple of things.
Okay.
So I started watching Schitt's Creek, and it's great.
Yeah.
Everyone should watch Schitt's Creek. It's a lot of fun, but that's like an old baked. It won 20 Emmys. Like everyone knows to watch it.
Yeah.
Another thing I started playing was I was kind of trying to just try different things on Game Pass because I'm like, this might be a good way to get some recs in. Mm-hmm. And I started playing Sea of Thieves on Game Pass, and it's legit. It's a very different game experience. If you have Game Pass, I'd recommend it. Apparently, it has multiplayer, but I haven't done that yet. One of our friend of the show, Alex Lee, he has it, and he's like, yeah, try it out, we could play. So I might do that, but we're probably just gonna be playing Squadrons, right? Because when I get back from my vacay, it's gonna be all Squadrons, right?
I would assume, yeah. I think there's gonna be a lot of squadroning. I think Fall Guys will probably have its new version
Season
out.
2.
Yeah, so
yeah,
one of those probably.
So, which is fine, but Sea of Thieves, it's fun. It's what I liked about it in the short time that I played it was it's there's something novel where there's no HUD, so it's you get your map and you get where the treasure is, and you just kind of have to figure out where you have to just navigate to get the map. So you check your map, check your compass, and it's this is very different because even the last pirate game I could think of was the Assassin's Creed Black Flag, but that had a HUD, so that was very different. Also, this game punishes you for crashing your ship into rocks.
Yeah,
it's not like GTA where you can have your car or boat or whatever hit the side of a building and you're fine. If your ship hits a rock or hits grounds, you're fucked. You got to get wood and you got to repair it. So I don't want to say that it's a quote unquote realistic pirate experience because that's silly, but it feels like a very unique game where I can't remember gameplay like this. I haven't done a lot of combat, which is in the game, but I haven't done it. I've just gone go to place, find treasure, and just do that over again. But there's something weirdly nice and calming about that I think is different from a lot of other games I play. So I think it gives an alternative experience. And like I mentioned last week, the nice thing about Game Pass is that you could just kind of download these games and try stuff out and see what you like. Did we talk about how Microsoft bought Bethesda last time? I can't remember.
I don't think it came up, if at all, very much.
Well, I mean, it's even a better time now because Doom Eternal is on. So unfortunately, downside for me. So I think I mentioned this, that there's you can pay $10 for Game Pass for PC, or $10 for Game Pass for your Xbox console and your phone, so you can play on Android, or you pay $15 for everything, and it comes with Xbox Gold. So if you want to play with people. Online stuff. So I only do the $10. Well, $5. They're upping it to $10, but I do the $5 just PC, and they're only putting Doom Eternal on the console, which I'm come on, man. But if you do an Xbox One, or you're getting the One S, I think the library of Bethesda games that you'll have to play, and I bet it's why they're upping the price, will make Game Pass really worth it. So yeah. I'm excited to see what gets put on there. So yeah, check out Sea of Thieves. It's a very different gaming experience. So
nice.
That's my rec for the week.
Cool. I want to recommend. I'm gonna recommend. So Real quick, I've been enjoying. I last week I wrecked Earth to Ned or Ned Show, whatever it's called, which is the alien interviewee talk show on Disney Plus. I've been watching even more of it, and I think it's really, really good. I wish this got more attention. I think anybody with Disney Plus who's like, why the heck do I still have this? That is very fun and very worth it. It feels very comedy bang bangy, which is a show that I used to love. And it just like, it's funny because it's like a Disney Channel show or Disney Plus show, but it's full of like adult jokes and like people only adults would get like Tom Lennon. Like kids don't watch Reno 911. Even if they wanted to now, they don't. But like that's only for people my age and like people a little bit older. So like that, that was great. I will say I've been playing the Squadrons game that we talked about, and it's great.
Yeah.
I've only played a little bit of it, but I would say that's probably my big rec for the week. Yeah, I've been playing a little bit, like with multiplayer, a little bit online, like, kind of all of it. And I am totally like, I think there's a limit. I think it's going to be fun with people. And like I think it's very much what you get out of it is like what you if you play with the squad and you can communicate. I will say I've only played on one map. Well, I played on two maps because you play like little story missions and stuff. I really wish there was a little bit more character to some of the maps because I do feel like they're very like some of them are like open and you just kind of get lost in it. But still, I'm still enjoying it, and I think just functionally it's very good. So I will say that's like my big recommendation. Besides that, I don't know. All the usual stuff. The Boy is still great. One more episode left, so if you were thinking about getting on, it's probably the time. I'm sure some spoilers will happen next week that like you won't want to hear. If you got Netflix, you could go watch your Casino Royale, your Quantum of Solaces, because apparently James Bond has been delayed to 2021, April of 2021. So you have plenty of time to get your James Bond back in play. I'm looking at my Netflix. Like, what have I played? I still haven't watched that movie, The Devil All the Time. I got to see that. Oh, you know what I did watch this week? Okay. This is a weird one. HBO has a show, HBO Max, and it's like the Great Pottery Bake Off or something. It's like Great British Bake Off, but with pottery. Fascinating.
Oh, okay.
Watching people make pottery is pretty like chill. The character, like the contestants on the show are fun enough. But it's like with baking, I enjoyed the baking one, but it's like, I don't know. There's something about this one where you could see the thing and go like, oh, that looks like a good sink. In a way that I don't think you can with cake. And
yeah.
A lot of it's just like, I didn't even know how they made sinks, so that's cool. I feel like I've learned a bit about, different pottery structures and stuff. So, yeah, really, really digging that. If anybody has HBO Max and you're like, I wouldn't mind a little, a little something, that would be fun. But yeah, so very good. DJ, what are we doing next week?
Well, I'm not doing anything next week. You guys are going to be doing some next week, and I mean, it would be hilarious if you did Spice World while I was gone.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, as a present, we would talk about it, but I don't know. I mean, you're the you're the person that's like you're the. It's like not like birthday boy. What are you like?
The not bachelor boy, but
yeah.
Soon to be not bachelor boy, I guess.
Boy, whatever. Yeah, so if you have any suggestions about movies that you want us to watch and talk about, but you don't want yourself to watch and talk about, you've got some time to give them to us. So no rush, but
yeah. One thing I actually want to do when I get back. One of my friends from work, Vin, who you've met a few times, he started listening to the podcast. He's like, oh, I think this is great. And he listened to our Avatar The Last Airbender episode, and he said we should do the Dragon Ball movie because I forget. So you had said like you had hoped that the people who like made Avatar had never seen the Avatar movie.
Yeah.
And then apparently, so something happened with like the Dragon Ball movie where afterwards they were like, "We're so sorry we made this. This is so bad."
Oh, really?
We apologize to the fans. Yeah, I'll see if I could dig it up, but that might be a good candidate for when I get back because I haven't seen it, but I've heard it is a nightmare.
I've seen bits and pieces secondhand, and yeah, I don't want to say I agree, but that sounds like a reasonable thing to say. I would be very, if I were a fan of that thing, I would be quite worried. So that would be fun. Maybe. I don't know, but do you want to be around for that one? I feel like
I would. I would like to be around.
So
for
I'll talk to Diggins, and we'll see what I'll see what he's game for. But we'll figure something fun.
Yeah.
Sounds good. How about our eliminator pool? Still squeaking by.
It's still going.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah. So
I'd say we got about half the teams are still, or more than half of the people are still. Well,
are we still at 20 or are we?
No, far fewer.
14.
Yeah.
So,
but so that's fun.
The Cardinals killed a lot of people.
Yeah,
last
the Cardinals
week. That's
got
a
them.
shame.
And
that's yeah.
Let's say the winner currently still in the lead is Three-Handed Sandwich. So
love Three-Handed Sandwich.
Luck to you. We'll see how it goes. Me and DJ are both making the exact same picks every week.
All right. Can you tell? Should I wait to see who you pick? I'll tell you. I already have my pick for this.
I have my pick
week.
too.
Do you want to say it at the same time?
Yeah.
All right.
3,
so
2, 1. Rams.
Yep. No fucking way.
Well, I mean, they're like playing the Giants, and the Giants suck, it's a no-brainer. And they're not that great of a team that I don't think I'm going to try to play them a lot. So,
yeah, no, you and I are on the exact same wavelength.
Yeah.
It's crazy. We're going to fall together, man.
Us New Jersey, New York natives, we know. Bet against the Jets and the Giants whenever you can.
It's true.
So yeah, that we'll see. Knock on wood, it could go anyway. Yeah, that's all I got, man.
Yes, absolutely.
Everybody enjoy the week. Let us know if you want us to do something, because sometimes maybe he'll hit my DMs and I'll actually do it. Maybe we could start doing Halloween adjacent stuff.
Oh, that's a good one, actually.
Yeah, think of something like that. Me and Diggins could do. That's like in the spirit of the season. I know HBO is making some awful new movie called The Witch that looks bad, but I don't want to do that. We'll see. All right. Well, until next week, I am at Nando V Movies on Twitter.
I'm at TV by Day.
Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye. Woo-hoo.